They lived in small groups, depending entirely on one another for survival. These early humans moved through a world filled with uncertainty and unpredictable weather, dangerous animals, and the ever-present need to find food and shelter. Yet even in this raw, primal landscape, one aspect of human behavior stood out as surprisingly familiar. People watched each other. They observed, they whispered. They remembered, analyzed, judged, and wondered. In those first flickering moments of social consciousness, the seed of scandal was planted. Imagine a small group of individuals seated around a crackling fire. The flames glow softly, lighting up faces that appear and disappear in the shifting patterns of shadow and light. After a long day, once danger has passed and a quiet settles over them, they begin to speak. Their voices are low, slow, and careful. They recount small incidents from earlier in the day, someone taking more food than they should have, someone failing to keep watch properly, someone disappearing for too long with someone else. These observations weren't stories or gossip in the modern sense, but they carried the same emotional texture. They were warning signs, markers of trust, and markers of danger. In sharing them, people were trying to make sense of the delicate social web that held their fragile communities together. In this environment, curiosity served as a survival mechanism. To know what others were doing wasn't a luxury. It was a necessity. Individuals who paid attention to subtle changes in behavior gained insights that could protect them from betrayal, strengthen their alliances, or predict potential conflicts. The human brain evolved in this very context. It became finely tuned to perceive social signals, the tone of voice, a facial expression, body language, secrecy, or a contradiction. Over thousands of years, these skills became deep-rooted instincts. We are born with them, and we use them constantly, often without even realizing it. This is why the stories of others, especially stories involving mistakes or forbidden actions, have such a magnetic pull on our minds. Scandal, at its core, is simply the moment when our curiosity meets our moral judgment. It appears when behavior violates the rules, written or unwritten, that hold a community together. But scandal is more than just a reaction to wrongdoing. It's also a way for people to define themselves in relation to others. To see someone fall is to feel, even if just for a moment, more secure in one's own position. This is one of the deep psychological mechanisms that makes scandals so enduring. The human mind is naturally comparative. It constantly measures, evaluates, and contrasts. A scandal offers a clear point of contrast, a visible mistake to evaluate from a safe distance. Underneath scandal lies something even deeper: power. Knowing a person's private weakness gives one a subtle advantage. Having information that others do not have places a person in a position of influence. The earliest communities operated with this logic, even if they didn't articulate it. A hunter who shirked responsibility, a leader who broke a promise, or a member who violated a ritual would become the subject of whispered warnings. Those warnings became memories, and those memories shaped decisions. So, even in prehistoric times, scandal had the power to alter social structures, shift loyalties, and redefine trust. As human groups grew and settled into larger communities, scandal evolved into something more recognizable to us today. Villages turned into towns, and towns turned into cities. Leaders emerged, hierarchies formed, and institutions took shape. With this growth came more complex forms of social behavior and, as a result, more complex forms of scandal. A leader's private choices could now influence not just a handful of people, but hundreds or even thousands. A priest's transgression could shake the spiritual confidence of an entire region. A wealthy merchant's secret dealings could affect the economy of a city. The behavior of individuals in positions of visibility became public interest by necessity, and the roots of public scandal began to form. Ancient writings confirm this transformation. In the histories recorded by Herodotus, we see kings and queens whose personal lives become political battlegrounds. In Egyptian texts, we read about the dramas unfolding inside royal palaces: jealousy, betrayal, and forbidden love. On clay tablets from Mesopotamia, records reveal conflicts involving priests, soldiers, and nobles whose missteps carried consequences far beyond their private circles. These early documents show that scandal wasn't merely an accidental outcome of human curiosity. It was a defining feature of how societies understood themselves. Scandal serves another function. It draws the boundaries of acceptable behavior. A community defines itself through the stories it condemns. When a society calls an action shameful, it simultaneously declares what it values. In this way, scandal is a cultural two-lane invisible map that outlines the psychological geography of a group. The stories people tell about others become markers of fear, markers of desire, and markers of identity. Even in peaceful times, scandal remains active because it is part of how people negotiate their place within a social world. As you listen to this story, you might notice how scandal mirrors the movement of thought itself. It begins with a spark of interest, expands with details, gains emotional weight, and then slowly fades into reflection. Just like the rhythm of your breath before sleep, scandal has a beginning, a middle, and a release. When told softly, it becomes less about shock and more about understanding. It becomes a window into the ancient layers of human psychology. It reminds us that behind every collective judgment lies a shared desire to belong, to compare, to protect, and to control. Even today, in a world filled with technology, rapid communication, and a constant flow of information, the essence of scandal remains unchanged. Our tools have evolved: newspapers, radio, television, the internet, social media, but our instincts have not. We still watch, we still compare, we still react. We follow the stories of others, not only to judge them, but to explore the boundaries of our own lives. A scandal that unfolds on a screen miles away can still evoke emotions that were once felt around ancient fires. This continuity reveals something fundamental. As long as humans are social beings, scandal will exist. Understanding the birth of scandal is understanding the birth of human storytelling. It is recognizing that our desire to observe others is woven into our psychological design. It is noticing how narratives of downfall or transgression offer a momentary escape from our own uncertainties. And it is acknowledging that this fascination, however old, can be approached with contemplation rather than haste. When told gently, slowly, and reflectively, the story of scandal becomes a calming exploration of human nature, a soft descent into the shared history of our curiosity. As we end this chapter, imagine once again that early fire. Picture the faces around it, their expressions soft, their voices low, their minds drifting towards sleep as they ponder the mysteries of others. This ancient scene is not separate from us. It is part of the long, continuous thread that ties together every generation. The birth of scandal is, in many ways, the birth of awareness. The moment humans began to understand not only the world around them, but each other. But beneath this grand facade was another world, one driven by scandal, whispered rumors, forbidden romances, and political schemes. People in ancient Egypt, Rome, and Greece were just as fascinated by the private lives of the powerful as we are today. They wanted to know who was sleeping with whom, who betrayed whom, and who held secret influence behind closed doors. Even then, scandal traveled faster than chariots and lingered longer than monuments, because it speaks to something deep within human nature. Let's start in Egypt, where scandal often blossomed within the palace walls. Pharaohs were seen as divine, but their lives were just as human and fragile as anyone else's. Cleopatra is probably the first global celebrity whose life became a worldwide scandal. When she secretly met Julius Caesar, legend says she was smuggled and rolled up in a carpetite wazoon at just a political move. It ignited one of the most talked about affairs in history. Caesar was a married man, the leader of a republic that distrusted foreign queens. For Romans, the idea of their great general being captivated by an Egyptian ruler was shocking and dangerous. Rumors spread like wildfire. Cleopatra was a seductress, a manipulator, even a sorceress. Her next relationship with Mark Antony only fanned the flames. Antony, also married, left his Roman life for the splendors of Alexandria with Cleopatra. The Roman elite was horrified. They painted Antony as weak and bewitched, a man who chose a foreign queen over his own people. This scandal was weaponized, leading to war and ending in their legendary suicides. It's a timeless story of how love, politics, and propaganda can reshape empires. Moving west, The ancient Greeks turned scandal into a public spectacle. In a society like Athens, which thrived on debate and public opinion, personal lives were fair game. Aspasia, the brilliant and foreign-born partner of the great statesman Pericles, became a target. Her intelligence and influence on Pericles outraged his rivals. They accused her of manipulating politics through seduction and mocked her in plays. The scandal around her shows how a powerful, independent woman could threaten the established order. Then there was Alcibiades, one of Athens' most charismatic and controversial figures. He was handsome, charming, and a brilliant general, but also arrogant and impulsive. When he was accused of destroying sacred statues, the city panicked, seeing it as a terrible omen. Fearing for his life, Alcibiades fled to the enemy city of Sparta and advised them against Athens. His scandals weren't just about personal drama. They destabilized alliances and shifted the course of wars. Even Greek mythology is filled with scandal. The stories of Zeus's affairs, Hera's jealousy, and Aphrodite's secret lovers were a way for people to process their own feelings of desire, betrayal, and ambition. The gods were just as flawed as humans, making their stories a safe space to explore uncomfortable truths. In Rome, scandal wasn't just gossip. It was a core part of public life. Romans loved stories of indulgent emperors, corrupt senators, and illicit affairs. Emperor Caligula became the poster child for imperial scandal. His reign was filled with tales of wild parties, reckless spending, and unbelievable cruelty. Whether the stories were true or just propaganda from his enemies didn't matter. The public ate them up. Caligula became a symbol of power gone mad. Nero was another emperor haunted by scandal. When the Great Fire of Rome broke out, rumors swirled that he played his lyre while the city burned, or that he started the fire himself to build a lavish palace. His personal life was just as controversial, with accusations that he murdered his own mother and wives. For Romans, an emperor who acted like a common stage performer was deeply offensive. His scandals ensured he'd be remembered as a tyrant who let his passions destroy him. But scandal wasn't just for emperors. Gladiators were like modern rock stars, involved in secret affairs with noble women. Senators plotted against each other with whispered accusations. In the bathhouses and marketplaces, gossip was the currency of the city. It was entertainment, social control, and political warfare all rolled into one. Baikin Egipet scandal could also take more subtle, religious forms. Queen Hatshepsut, a woman who declared herself pharaoh, caused a massive disruption. Some felt she was violating the natural order, while others whispered that her closest advisor was more than just a loyal servant. Then there was Akhenaten, who triggered one of history's first ideological scandals. He abandoned Egypt's traditional gods for a single deity, the Aten. This shocked the entire civilization. The priests felt threatened, the people panicked, and whispers spread that Akhenaten was unstable. His reforms were so hated that after his death, later rulers tried to erase his name from history entirely, an ancient form of cancel culture. Across all these ancient civilizations, one truth remains clear. Scandal is a mirror. It reveals a society's fears, desires, and hidden tensions. Cleopatra's affairs exposed Rome's fear of foreign influence. Aspasia's intelligence revealed Athens' discomfort with powerful women. Caligula and Nero showed the dangers of absolute power. These ancient scandals are not so different from our own. The whispers in Roman taverns are the ancestors of today's headlines. But behind these walls lived a different story, one filled with forbidden desires, political betrayals, and royal secrets that drifted through kingdoms like smoke. Though the era is remembered for rigid morality and religious authority, medieval society was captivated by the same things that fascinate us today. Forbidden romances, scandalous affairs, ambitious mistresses, and whispered rumors that shaped power more deeply than any sword. Scandals in the Middle Ages weren't mere personal missteps. They were events that could topple kings, divide churches, and stain the reputations of entire dynasties. Tonight, as we move softly through these stories, detailed enough to feel real, these medieval scandals will unfold like long-forgotten scenes, resurfacing in the quiet of the night. One of the most enduring figures of medieval scandal is Eleanor of Aquitaine, a woman whose life was marked by beauty, intelligence, and persistent whispers. Born into immense wealth, Eleanor first married Louis VII of France, a pious king whose temperament contrasted sharply with her own spirited nature. Their marriage soon became strained, not just because of political differences, but also because of rumors that Eleanor had grown a little too close to certain young knights in her entourage. Chroniclers described her as bold, unconventional, and dangerously independent. Some even insinuated that she and her uncle, Raymond of Antioch, shared an intimacy that went beyond family affection during the Second Crusade. Whether true or not, the rumors were enough to sour her marriage, and when her union with Louis was annulled, the kingdom hummed with talk of her supposed Just weeks later, Eleanor shocked Europe by marrying Henry Plantagenet, the future King Henry II of England. This marriage brought enormous power, but also deep conflict. Henry's notorious unfaithfulness produced one of the most sensational royal scandals of the era: his long-term affair with Rosamund Clifford, a young woman considered extraordinarily beautiful. Legends claim that Henry hid Rosamund in a secret labyrinth, and that Eleanor discovered the hideaway, confronting her rival with cold fury. Although the details are blurred by time, the story fed a powerful narrative, one of a betrayed queen whose heart turned to iron. As their relationship collapsed, their family became entangled in political rebellion, with Eleanor eventually imprisoned for supporting her sons against their father. Her life was a tapestry woven with love, betrayal, ambition, and whispers that followed her across decades. Around the same time, a different kind of scandal unfolded in Paris: the tragic romance of Abelard and Heloise. Pierre Abelard was a brilliant philosopher, admired for his logic and skill. Heloise, the young niece of a high-ranking church official named Fulbert, was famed for her intelligence and wit. Their meeting evolved into a passionate affair that defied the strict moral codes of medieval clerical life. Secret lessons turned into secret embraces. Whispered philosophical debates shifted into whispered promises. When Heloise became pregnant, Abelard secretly took her to Brittany, where she gave birth to their son. As furious at the dishonor, Fulbert orchestrated a brutal revenge. Abelard was attacked in the night and castrated. The scandal shook the intellectual world of Europe. Abelard retreated to a monastery, and Heloise was forced into a convent. Yet, their letters filled with longing, regret, and philosophical depth kept their love alive. Their story became one of the most emotional scandals of the Middle Ages, blending passion, violence, and tragedy into a tale that still feels painfully human. While love scandals captured the public imagination, political and sexual rumors within royal courts could be even more destructive. In England, King Edward II became the center of relentless controversy due to his unusually close relationship with Piers Gaveston. Was charismatic, flamboyant, handsome, and openly favored by the king. Edward showered him with titles, gifts, and attention so much that the nobles grew furious. Gaveston's bold fashion and arrogant attitude worsened matters, and soon whispers turned into accusations. Chroniclers implied that their relationship went far beyond friendship, and the scandal grew until the barons united, exiled Gaveston, and eventually arranged his execution. Edward's grief was overwhelming. This scandal damaged his reign so deeply that it paved the way for an even darker chapter. His wife, Isabella's rebellion. Isabella of France, known as the She-Wolf of France, became the protagonist of one of the Middle Ages' most shocking scandals. After years of humiliation and neglect due to Edward's devotion to his male favorites, Isabella took matters into her own hands. During a diplomatic mission to France, she began a relationship with the ambitious nobleman Roger Mortimer. Together, they plotted Edward's downfall. When she returned to England with an invading force, the kingdom trembled, a queen openly rebelling against her king, with her lover by her side. Edward was deposed and died under mysterious circumstances. Rumors claimed torture, while others whispered of secret imprisonment. Mortimer and Isabella ruled as regents, but the scandal that brought them to power eventually destroyed them. Mortimer was executed, and Isabella was placed under house arrest. France produced its own sensational scandals. The infamous Tour de Nesle affair erupted during the reign of King Philip IV. His three daughters, Zinla Margaret, Blanche, and Jean, were accused of engaging in illicit affairs with young knights inside a tower on the Seine. One knight confessed under torture, and the scandal exploded across Europe. Margaret and Blanche were imprisoned. Margaret died in captivity, allegedly strangled or starved. The scandal rocked the French monarchy, casting a long shadow over the Capetian dynasty and inspiring countless legends about the dangerous passions hidden behind royal walls. The medieval church, though projecting an image of purity, was equally steeped in scandal. Few families embody this controversy as vividly as the Borgia. Rodrigo Borgia, who became Pope Alexander VI, was accused of bribery, nepotism, and fathering multiple children while serving as head of the Catholic Church. His children especially, Cesare and Lucretia, Borgia became symbols of Renaissance corruption. Rumors of poisonings, political assassinations, and dark alliances haunted the family name. Although some accusations were political exaggerations, they shaped centuries of perception. Caesar's ambition, combined with Lucretia's beauty and mysterious marriages, turned the family into an undying legend of ecclesiastical scandal. Even ordinary monasteries were no strangers to controversy. Numerous records describe monks breaking vows, nuns becoming pregnant, and high-ranking clergy secretly supporting children born out of wedlock. Some convents became infamous for luxurious lifestyles, others for harsh punishments inflicted on those who violated their vows. The church often tried to suppress these stories, but the public imagination held onto them tightly, whispering about fallen monks and forbidden romances behind cloister walls. These scandals revealed a universal truth: where there is strict repression, there is also secret rebellion. Throughout Europe, scandals shaped the medieval world far more than official chronicles admitted. Behind every royal portrait was a hidden story. Behind every marriage alliance, a forbidden love. Behind every coronation, a whispered betrayal. Even the most powerful figures lived under the constant shadow of rumor. Queens were judged for their influence, kings for their passions, and clergy for their contradictions. Medieval society functioned on appearances, and scandal was the crack in the facade through which the truth softly seeped. In the quiet rhythm of this narrative, these stories drift together like threads of an old tapestry. Picture Eleanor walking through the halls of Aquitaine, her gown brushing against the stones while whispers follow her. Imagine Eloise lighting a candle in the convent, thinking of Abelard in the shadows of his monastery. See Edward II grieving for Gaveston, alone in a vast, cold palace. Watch Isabella and Mortimer riding into England, scandal and ambition guiding their steps. Hear the muffled voices in the Tour de Nesle Tower, secrets waiting to be discovered. Visualize Alexander VI in the Vatican, surrounded by tapestries, rumors, and danger. All these stories blend into a single, centuries-long whisper, a reminder that scandal is as old as power, as persistent as desire, and as universal as human weakness. Yet beneath all that beauty existed another world, one filled with ambition, betrayal, deception, and scandals that traveled through Europe like whispered storms. These centuries produced geniuses, kings, and visionaries, but they also produced liars, poisoners, seducers, and restless hearts drawn to danger. Behind every masterpiece stood a rivalry. Behind every royal portrait, a secret. Behind every political triumph, a quiet manipulation. As this story unfolds, the brilliant chaos of the Renaissance reveals itself not as a clean rebirth of culture, but as one of the great gossip engines of human history. Few names embodied the scandalous energy of this era more vividly than Rodrigo Borgia, the man who would become Pope Alexander VI, rose to power through a combination of political cunning, bribery, and charm. Once seated on the papal throne, he surrounded himself not with saints, but with his own children Cesare, Juan Jofer, and the famously beautiful Lucretia. A pope having children was scandal enough, but Alexander VI went further, elevating them to high positions, arranging marriages for political gain, and allegedly using poison to eliminate rivals. Rome murmured constantly that secret feasts filled the Vatican, that mistresses entered through hidden passages, that Cesare Borgia had inherited not only his father's ambition, but also his ruthlessness. Caesar's rapid rise shocked Italy. He became a cardinal at 18, a military commander soon after, and the alleged mastermind behind several political assassinations. Rumors even suggested a forbidden bond between Cesare and his sister Lucretia, though no proof ever surfaced. The fact that people believed it shows how deeply the Borgias had captured Europe to their supporters. They were brilliant. To their enemies, monstrous, but to everyone, they were unforgettable. The Renaissance didn't just breed political scandals. Artists themselves became living storms of controversy. Michelangelo, for all his genius, was known for fiery arguments with his patrons. Pope Julius II commissioned the Sistine Chapel ceiling, but the two men fought almost constantly. Julius complained about Michelangelo's delays. Michelangelo accused the Pope of interfering. Their shouting matches became legends, and stories spread across Rome of Michelangelo barricading himself inside the chapel, of the Pope threatening him with physical punishment, of the artist fleeing to Florence in anger. Furthermore, his deep affection for certain young men, expressed in letters and poems, fueled rumors about his private life. Critics called his nude frescoes indecent, and conservative cardinals demanded that the figures be painted over with draperies. The Fig Leaf Campaign, as it would later be called, was itself a scandal. The church, blushing at the very art it had commissioned. Caravaggio, meanwhile, was beyond scandale, was chaos incarnate. His talent was undeniable, his temper uncontrollable. He drank, gambled, fought, and wandered the streets like a troublemaker with a divine gift. The scandal that defined him occurred during a heated argument over a game similar to tennis. Swords were drawn. Caravaggio killed his opponent. Some said it was intentional. Others claimed it was an accident. Regardless of motive, the crime forced him into exile, running from city to city as the bounty on his head grew. When the Knights of Malta briefly accepted him, it became an international sensation. How could a murderer join such an elite order? But Caravaggio's violent streak resurfaced, and soon he was back on the run, wounded and desperate. His death alone on a beach, feverish and abandoned, became as mysterious as his life. Was he assassinated? Exhausted? Struck down by illness? No one knew for sure. The scandal, like his art, remained eternal. In France, the Medici influence shaped scandal as much as politics. Catherine de' Medici, the Italian-born queen and mother of 3 French kings, was both feared and revered. Some believed she controlled France with an iron hand hidden inside a velvet glove. Stories claimed she owned a cabinet of poisons prepared by her astrologer and personal perfumer. Others whispered that she consulted occult practices or held secret councils with alchemists. During the infamous St. Bartholomew's Day massacre, where thousands of Protestants were slaughtered, many accused her of orchestrating the catastrophe. Whether true or exaggerated, Europe saw her as a master puppeteer whose court was a theater of intrigue. The halls of the Louvre echoed with story plots, seductions, feuds, and whispered prayers of fear. The Pazzi conspiracy in Florence revealed another layer of Renaissance scandal. Political assassination disguised as religious ceremony. The Medici family, long the rulers of Florence, had many enemies. On an April morning in 1478, during Mass in the Cathedral of Santa Maria del Fiore, assassins attacked Lorenzo de' Medici and killed his brother Giuliano right before the altar. Blood spilled across sacred stone as worshippers screamed. This public, violent betrayal shocked all of Italy. Behind the conspiracy were noble families, bankers, hired killers, and, according to some accounts, high-ranking church officials. It was a scandal so immense that it changed Florentine politics forever, and revealed how fiercely the Medici were both hated and feared. The Baroque age added another layer to all this: spectacle. Power became performance. Versailles, built by Louis XIV, was a palace of polished mirrors and whispered secrets. The Sun King was admired for his grandeur, but his romantic entanglements caused never-ending controversy. His official mistresses, like Madame de Montespan, wielded enormous influence. Montespan, involvement in the affair of the poisons, became the most shocking scandal of the century. Accused sorcerers and poison makers confessed under torture that she had participated in dark rituals, love spells, and even child sacrifice to secure the king's affection. While no solid evidence ever proved her guilt, the fallout destroyed reputations across Paris and sent dozens to their deaths. Montespan avoided charges only because exposing her would have humiliated the king. So the scandal was buried, but never forgotten. Artists, too, continued to live dramatically. Benvenuto Cellini was a brilliant sculptor whose autobiography became a catalogue of outrageous imprisonment, escape, murder, accusations of witchcraft, and shameless bragging. He claimed to have shot an enemy dead from behind and to have defeated conspiracies with sheer audacity. Whether his claims were true or embellished, Cellini's life embodied the raw, unpredictable spirit of the era. Genius intertwined with danger, the era also produced quieter scandalous affairs hidden inside palaces. Illegitimate children quietly acknowledged by kings, secret marriages that threatened political alliances. Monarchs crafted images of divine authority, yet their personal lives often contradicted their public personas. Behind velvet curtains lay jealousies, forbidden passions, and power games played through intimate relationships. These centuries reveal a timeless truth. Where brilliance flourishes, so does darkness. Ambition breeds rivalry. Power breeds paranoia. Beauty breeds obsession. And art, like love, often flourishes next to its own destruction. The scandals of the Renaissance and Baroque eras were not accidents. They were byproducts of a world pushing the limits of human potential. Now, in the stillness of this narrative, picture Rome as the Borgias pass through its streets, their cloaks trailing power and danger. Picture Michelangelo standing beneath the vast dome of the Sistine Chapel, pain-stained and defiant. Imagine Caravaggio wandering through narrow alleys, fire in his eyes. See Catherine de' Medici walking through candlelit corridors, shadows dancing behind her. Hear the echo of swords inside Florence's cathedral as the Pazzi strike. Smell the perfume and poison of Versailles mixed into the heavy air. This power was silent, yet it roared across continents. It was the power of the printed word. For the first time in history, a rumor could leap from city to city, spreading through taverns and salons like wildfire. Scandal was no longer just a whispered secret. It became ink on paper, mass entertainment for everyone. Pamphlets, newspapers, and illustrated booklets turned gossip into a commodity, sold in crowded markets and devoured by candlelight. The private lives of queens, poets, and aristocrats were suddenly on public display, their reputations hanging by a thread. This is a journey into that world, a world where a single paragraph could destroy a legacy, and a well-placed drawing could shatter a throne. Let's begin in Paris, with an object so dazzling, so extravagant, it seemed destined for disaster. A diamond necklace. When the diamond necklace affair erupted in 1785, Queen Marie Antoinette was already a target of public scorn. As the Austrian-born queen, she was seen as an outsider, wasteful, out of touch, and indifferent to the suffering of her people. The city was already buzzing with whispers about her lavish spending on gowns and hairstyles, her secret parties, and her political meddling. But nothing could prepare the monarchy for the explosion that followed. The necklace itself was a monstrous creation of jewels, originally made for Madame du Barry, the former king's mistress. After his death, the jewelers were desperate to sell it, but only a queen could afford such a piece. Marie Antoinette refused. She thought it was gaudy and impractical, but her name would be dragged into scandal anyway, thanks to a con artist named Jean de Lamotte. Jean tricked a gullible cardinal into believing the queen secretly wanted the necklace and needed him to buy it for her. He did. Jean took the necklace, broke it apart, and sold the diamonds across Europe. When the truth came out, Paris erupted in fury. The details didn't matter to the angry public. All they saw was their extravagant queen, indulging herself while they starved. Caricatures flooded the streets, showing Marie Antoinette dripping in diamonds. Though she was completely innocent, it was too late. The printed word had already declared her guilty. The scandal wasn't just gossip. It became one of the sparks that would eventually ignite the French Revolution, proving that a lie, repeated often enough, could topple an empire. Across the English Channel, another figure was dominating the scandal sheets. Lord Byron, the brooding, brilliant poet, was Europe's first true celebrity. A man both adored and condemned with equal passion. His countless love affairs filled the pages of London newspapers. Women swooned over him, and men envied his dark charisma. But his fame turned toxic when rumors of an incestuous relationship with his half-sister Augusta Lee began to circulate. The truth was murky, a tangled web of letters, glances, and vague confessions. But for the press, it was a story too good to pass up. Pamphlets accused him of moral corruption, of depravity, of madness. The high society that once celebrated him now turned its back. His marriage crumbled under the weight of the scandal. Eventually, Byron fled England, never to return. But exile only made him more fascinating. His escapades in Venice, where he was rumored to keep a menagerie of lovers, became legendary. His friendships with revolutionaries and his dramatic travels were perfect fodder for the gossip writers back home. In an age before photography, caricatures of him were everywhere seductive, dangerous, and irresistible. People read his poems, but they were even hungrier for his sins. While Byron was the era's first reluctant celebrity, another man actively cultivated his scandalous reputation, Giacomo Casanova. Born in Venice, Casanova moved through Europe like a shadow wrapped in silk. He thrived on danger and seduction, leaving a trail of broken hearts and outraged husbands from Paris to St. Petersburg. His memoirs, written late in his life, detailed his adventures with shocking honesty. He wrote of seducing noble women, actresses, and even nuns. He recounted his daring escapes from prison, his financial schemes, his duels, and his run-ins with the law. Casanova was more than just a lover. He was a gambler, an intellectual, a spy, and a master manipulator. He became entangled in financial plots in Paris, was nearly arrested for fraud in London, and even tried to influence the court of Catherine the Great in Russia. The press couldn't get enough of him. Scandal followed him effortlessly, like a cloak he wore with pride. He wasn't just living a scandalous life. He was creating a legend, one that would outlive him and become a symbol of a life lived without rules. As the 19th century dawned, scandal became more visual. Caricaturists grew incredibly powerful, using humor to expose secrets that newspapers wouldn't dare print. In England, artists like James Gillray and George Cruikshank became feared figures. They mocked kings and politicians with drawings so vicious and so memorable that no denial could erase the damage. Gilray's depictions of the future King George IV portrayed as a drunken, immoral buffoon were so devastating that the prince himself tried to buy the printing plates to destroy them. But it was too late. The public had already seen the images, and their perception of him was forever changed. Even in the supposedly prim and proper Victorian era, scandal bubbled just beneath the surface. Queen Victoria's own son, Prince Albert Edward, known as Bertie, was notorious for his affairs and gambling habits. He was implicated in a court case involving a married woman, and whispers of his visits to high-class brothels were constant. But because he was the heir to the throne, the press had to be careful. So, instead of headlines, the scandals appeared in coded illustrations and satirical poems, passed around secretly in London's gentlemen's clubs and cafes. In France, the artist Honor Daumier used his pencil to skewer politicians, drawing them as grotesque monsters. A single one of his images, distributed throughout Paris in a day, could ruin a career. This new visual gossip was more potent than words alone. One drawing could expose an affair or condemn a minister without a single sentence being written. Behind the palace walls of Europe, the whispers were even darker. Royal families from Vienna to Monaco were haunted by rumors of secret lovers, illegitimate children born at midnight, and bribes paid to silent servants. The Habsburgs were accused of hiding entire wings of unofficial descendants. Many of these stories were exaggerated, of course, but that didn't stop them from spreading. People craved scandal, and the press was more than happy to provide it. What's most striking is how this gossip began to shape history. A pamphlet mocking a king could spark a riot. A caricature of a minister could destabilize a government. Public opinion, once guided by tradition and the church, was now being molded in printing houses. Power was shifting from the palace halls to the press. This was the birth of the modern media, of modern celebrity, and of the modern scandal as we know it. The world would never be the same. The quiet hum of the printing press had become the loudest voice in the room. We often imagine Victorian England as a world of high collars and polished manners, strict etiquette, and tightly laced corsets. It was a society that valued silence over confession and appearance over truth. But behind those carefully drawn curtains and immaculate public faces lived a universe of secrets, hidden affairs, forbidden desires, and scandals that spread through the streets of London like perfume and smoke. This was an age that preached virtue loudly while practicing vice quietly. A century shaped not only by industry and empire, but also by whisper networks and the carefully managed reputations of the powerful. The Victorian world wasn't a pristine moral sanctuary, but a grand theater where nearly everyone pretended, everyone hid, and everyone feared. The moment the mask might slip. Few stories embody this contradiction more dramatically than the fall of Oscar Wilde. Wilde was London's brightest starwity, flamboyant, adored by fashionable salons, and feared by conservative critics. His plays filled theaters. His remarks circulated like rare jewels. Yet beneath his public brilliance lay a truth that Victorian society refused to tolerate. Wilde loved men. Though whispers had followed him for years, most people pretended not to hear. But when he entered a deeply emotional, romantic relationship with Lord Alfred Douglas, or Bosie, the fragile silence shattered. Bosie's father, the Marquis of Queensberry, publicly accused Wilde of gross indecency. Proud and unwilling to bend, Wilde sued him for libel. It was a fatal mistake. The trial that followed became a public spectacle, a cruel dismantling of Wilde's life. The prosecution presented letters, hotel records, and testimonies of young men. The press devoured every detail. Wilde responded with dazzling wit, even in his darkest moments. But society wanted a sacrifice. He was convicted and sentenced to 2 years of hard labor. The scandal traveled across Europe, staining his brilliance with shame. Today, however, the scandal exposes not Wilde's sins, but the era's cruelty, hypocrisy, and fear of human complexity. Even the monarchy, the steadfast pillar of Victorian morals, was not immune to rumor. Queen Victoria herself, admired for her devotion to duty and her long marriage to Prince Albert, became the center of speculation after his death. Deeply grieving, she withdrew from public life and sought comfort in the company of her Scottish attendant, John Brown. Brown was rough, direct, and the absolute opposite of the refined courtiers surrounding the Queen. Yet, he became her closest companion for years. Their intimacy troubled the court. Brown entered her private chambers unannounced, spoke to her with unusual familiarity, and accompanied her on solitary walks across the Scottish Highlands. Servants whispered, aristocrats fumed. Some claimed that Victoria had married Brown in secret. Others insisted she bore him a child. None of these claims were ever proven, but the rumors alone reveal how hungry Victorian society was for scandal, even when it touched the throne. After Brown's death, Victoria kept his photograph beside her bed and wore a lock of his hair inside a locket. For the public, this was confirmation more powerful than any proof. To truly understand the Victorian world, we must step into the luxurious yet suffocating drawing rooms of the aristocracy. These families preached morality from gilded balconies while maintaining networks of secret passageways and hidden parlors. Many grand London homes contained private chambers where lords entertained young actresses and where married ladies met handsome officers far from their husbands' eyes. Servants, who witnessed everything, carried the stories from one household to another. The aristocracy's greatest fear was not sin, it was exposure. A single hint printed in a satirical newspaper could destroy an entire family. Secrets were protected fiercely through bribery, intimidation, or the discreet relocation of troublesome individuals. One of the most common scandals involved hidden pregnancies. When a maid became pregnant by a nobleman, she was often dismissed immediately, sent to the countryside or to an institution to give birth in silence. Her baby might be quietly adopted or placed with another family, never to be acknowledged. Sometimes, wealthy families even raised the baby as a ward rather than admitting the truth. These arrangements were so widespread that historians today struggle to untangle the web of unofficial children in aristocratic genealogies, all while the public insisted that Victorian society was the pinnacle of moral superiority. Prostitution became one of the era's most visible contradictions. Victorian London had tens of thousands of sex workers. Some studies suggest over 80,000, yet respectable society pretended not to see them. Men who spoke passionately about purity laws frequented brothels. Politicians who lectured on virtue visited courtesans. Doctors who condemned immorality secretly examined women arrested under the Contagious Diseases Acts. These laws, which targeted women, but not men, allowed police to seize any woman suspected of prostitution and subject her to invasive medical procedures. The real purpose was not to protect public health, but to protect soldiers and sailors from infection. Society valued their bodies more than the lives of the women detained. This extreme double standard reveals the darker heart of Victorian morality. Virtue applied only to those who could afford it. The same hypocrisy extended to sexuality. Homosexual relationships, though widespread, were criminalized, forcing countless people into marriages they did not desire or into double lives they feared would unravel. Boarding schools, gentlemen's clubs, and army barracks were full of intimate relationships that no one spoke about openly, but everyone knew existed. Theaters were particularly notorious. Many actors and directors lived in carefully coded arrangements, protected by their patrons and by the unwritten rule that scandal must never be openly acknowledged unless absolutely necessary. These hidden networks of affection and desire were woven into the very fabric of Victorian society, contradicting the era's public morality at every turn. Even the arts were not spared from scandal. Painters like Dante Gabriel Rossetti, a founder of the Preraphaelite Brotherhood, were often entangled in romantic triangles. Rossetti's relationship with Elizabeth Siddlehays, muse, lover, and eventually his wife captivated Victorian gossip circles. Siddle battled illness and addiction, and after her death, Rossetti's decision to bury his unpublished poems with her became an object of macabre fascination. Years later, driven by grief and artistic desperation, he had her coffin exhumed to retrieve them. The tabloids implied necromantic motives, others whispered of madness. But scandal always chooses the darker interpretation. Meanwhile, aristocratic men lived extravagantly immoral lifestyles, while calling themselves paragons of virtue. Prince Albert Edward, later Edward VII, engaged in numerous affairs with dancers, actresses, and married society hostesses. His involvement in the Mordaunt divorce case, where he was forced to testify about his friendship with Lady nearly triggered a constitutional crisis. Though he denied any wrongdoing, the testimony alone was enough to deepen public fascination. Society forgave him repeatedly, revealing that Victorian morality was not equal for all. Royalty enjoyed exemptions ordinary people could never dream of. The greatest irony of the Victorian age is that scandals flourished precisely because repression was so intense. A world that refuses to speak openly creates shadows where secrets multiply. Behind every moral sermon was a hidden indulgence. Behind every lesson in virtue, a concealed desire. Imagine London in the soft glow of gas lamps, fog curling through the streets, carriages clattering over cobblestones. Behind lace-curtained windows, whispered confessions no one would ever admit aloud. See Oscar Wilde walking through the prison yard, once a celebrated wit, now a symbol of society's unforgiving cruelty. Picture Queen Victoria, seated by the fire in Scotland. John Brown standing nearby with a protective gaze. Imagine aristocratic estates, hollowed with hidden rooms where lovers met in silence. Picture a maid packing her belongings at dawn after discovering she is pregnant. Hear the muffled laughter inside gentlemen's clubs, where men insist on propriety while living in quiet rebellion. In the end, the Victorian era's scandals reveal not a failure of individuals, but a failure of a culture built on denial. Its rigid surface masked a restless, yearning humanity beneath, proving once more that no edge not, even the one that preached morality most fiercely, can escape the pull of desire, the complexity of identity, or the endlessly magnetic power of scandal. Before Hollywood became the polished kingdom of red carpets and carefully managed star images, it was a wild frontier, raw, chaotic, and full of secrets. The silent film era, stretching across the 1910s and 20s, was a strange universe where fame exploded overnight. Fortunes rose and fell in months, and the private lives of actors were devoured by a curious public. With no social media or talk show confessions, scandals still traveled at lightning speed through newspapers, gossip columns, and studio whispers. What we see today as Hollywood's polished surface was then just a fragile veil, draped over a world of ambition, loneliness, addiction, and tragedies far more dramatic than the movies themselves. One of the most devastating scandals began with a single party. Roscoe "Fatty" Arbuckle was one of the most beloved comedians of his time, earning salaries that rivaled Charlie Chaplin's. But in 1921, after a holiday weekend celebration at a San Francisco hotel, a young actress named Virginia Rappi fell ill and later died. Almost immediately, sensationalist newspapers turned Arbuckle into a villain. Rumors circulated that he had assaulted her, that he was responsible for her death. None of this was ever proven. In fact, after 3 separate trials, Arbuckle was acquitted each time. In the final trial, the jury even apologized to him, declaring that a great injustice had been done, but the damage was irreversible. The public had made up its mind. Newspapers had sold millions of copies, painting him as a monster. Studios banned his films, and his career ended overnight. Arbuckle became the first major casualty of Hollywood scandal cultura, man destroyed not by truth, but by the hunger for headlines. Just a year later, another story shook Hollywood to its core. The mysterious death of film director William Desmond Taylor. In 1922, Taylor was found in his Los Angeles home, shot in the back. He was handsome, respected, and admired, but when news of his murder broke, that saintly reputation dissolved instantly. The crime scene mystified investigators. The door was unlocked, his pockets were untouched, and there were no signs of a struggle. The press, smelling blood, began weaving stories long before the police gathered facts. Soon, attention turned to 2 actresses connected to Taylor. Mabel Normand, a comedy star known for her struggles with drug addiction, and Mary Miles Minter, a young actress whose love letters to Taylor were discovered in his home. The scandal exploded. Was Taylor romantically involved with Minter? Was he trying to help Normand escape her dangerous circle of drug dealers? Dozens of theories emerged, but none were ever confirmed. The case remains unsolved to this day, a tragedy that revealed how quickly Hollywood could devour its own. Inside the studio system, another kind of darkness took hold, a desperate attempt to maintain flawless images for stars who were anything but. Wallace Reed was one of the earliest handsome leading men of American cinema. After a serious injury on set, he was given morphine for the pain. At a time when addiction was poorly understood, the studio chose to hide his dependency rather than treat it. He was just too profitable, too beloved, too bankable to stop working. So they forced him to keep acting. Even as his health deteriorated, locked in a cycle of addiction and exhaustion, Red eventually died at the age of 30. Newspaper headlines mourned the tragedy while also exploiting it, describing Reed as a fallen idol. His death exposed the harsh truth behind the industry. Glittering facade. Studios often valued money and image far more than the lives of the people they employed. No star, however, was more viciously targeted by scandal than Clara Bow, the original It girl. Bow came from a background of extreme poverty and trauma, yet her charisma on screen was undeniable. She was vibrant, modern, and uninhibited in a way that felt revolutionary. But this same quality made her a target. Tabloids harassed her relentlessly. They printed lies about wild parties, affairs with co-stars, and scandalous behavior on studio lots. The rumors were outrageous, accusing her of sleeping with entire football teams or being banned from hotels. None of it was true. This cruelty, born of jealousy and sexism, eventually broke her spirit. Bow withdrew from acting at a young age. One of the first great female victims of Hollywood's tabloid culture, a woman celebrated for her freedom and then punished for it. The silent era also birthed myths around actors whose lives seemed larger and stranger than any character they played. One such figure was Rudolph Valentino, the brooding, seductive heartthrob adored by millions. Valentino's Latin lover image triggered waves of obsession. Women fainted at his premieres and waited outside his home just for a glimpse of him. But the press was merciless. Critics called him effeminate, mocking him for wearing jewelry and stylish suits. When he died suddenly at 31, hysteria swept across America. Mourners collapsed in the streets, and reports claimed several fans had committed suicide. While many of these stories were exaggerated, the emotional storm revealed the strange, powerful relationship between early stars and their audiences amidst of loud desire, fantasy, and scandal. Even actors who would later achieve fame in the sound era had their beginnings wrapped in shadow. Bela Lugosi, long before becoming Dracula, arrived in Hollywood as a mysterious refugee from war-torn Europe. Rumors followed him everywhere, that he had fled political enemies, that he had a secret past as a revolutionary. Lugosi did little to correct these myths because, in Hollywood, mystery was useful. It was a place where reinvention was not only possible, but necessary. And Lugosi understood that a touch of darkness could make a man unforgettable. Behind the scenes, scandals weren't just about actors. They were managed by the producers and executives who controlled their destinies. Studio heads hired private detectives to monitor their stars, bribed journalists to suppress stories, and manipulated public opinion with ruthless efficiency. If an actress became pregnant outside of marriage, the studio might hide her away. If a male star had affairs, they might cover them up with a staged romance. In Sensei, early Hollywood invented modern celebrity management, but it also invented celebrity destruction. Some scandals were dark enough to reshape the entire industry. The death of Olive Thomas, a beautiful silent film star, shook Hollywood in 1920. She died in Paris after ingesting poisonous mercury bichloride tablets that belonged to her husband. Whether it was an accident or suicide remains unclear. Her death, surrounded by ambiguity, ignited a wildfire of rumors about drug addiction and secret affairs. The press drenched her memory in scandal, and her case set a grim precedent. Even tragedy could become entertainment. By the late 1920s, silent film was fading, but the scandals it birthed continued to echo. The mythology of Hollywood, a place where dreams were made and lives were shattered, was cemented during this era. Fame was lightning. Scandal was thunder. And together, they formed the storms that shaped early cinema. Picturesco. Arbuckle. Career destroyed by lies. Picture the unsolved silence surrounding William Desmond Taylor's home. Clara Bow, exhausted by the cruelty of newspapers. Valentino, unaware of how quickly time would steal him away. These scandals were not merely stories. They were the foundation of a cultural empire built on light and shadow, truth and illusion, desire and despair. Hollywood's Golden Age. The name itself brings to mind a world of pure magic. We think of glamorous stars, elegant gowns, and stories that made us dream. From the 1930s to the 1950s, the silver screen wasn't just entertainment. It was a shimmering escape, a perfect world polished to a high gloss. But what if that perfect image was just a carefully constructed illusion? What if behind the dazzling smiles and soft focus lenses, there was a much darker, more complicated reality? Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the Golden Age to reveal the hidden struggles, the heartbreak, and the scandals that the studios worked so hard to keep in the shadows. Let's start with perhaps the most iconic star of all, Marilyn Monroe. Her smile could light up a theater. Her every movement was legendary. She was the embodiment of Hollywood glamour. But beneath that radiant surface was a woman battling profound loneliness and the ghosts of a traumatic childhood. She came to Hollywood, searching for a sense of belonging, but instead, the industry saw her as a product to be molded. Executives pushed her into roles that capitalized on her bombshell image, ignoring her deep desire to be taken seriously as an actress. The pressure was immense. To keep up with grueling schedules, she was given medications that, over time, only added to her emotional burden. Every on-set delay, every moment of vulnerability, was twisted into a headline. The world adored the image of Marilyn, but few truly saw the person. Norma Jean. When she passed away in 1962, we didn't just lose a star. We lost someone who was never given the chance to simply be herself. Long before Marilyn, another star's story exposed the cruel contradictions of the studio system. Judy Garland, as Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, her innocence and incredible voice captured the world's heart. But behind the scenes, her life was anything but a fairy tale. From a young age, The studio controlled every aspect of her existence: her weight, her diet, her teeth. To keep her working around the clock, she was given pills to wake her up and pills to put her to sleep. This relentless cycle took a devastating toll, while she delivered one unforgettable performance after another. Judy was grappling with deep emotional pain and health issues. Her personal life crumbled under the strain, yet the studio kept projecting the image of a happy, resilient star. Her story became a tragic symbol of a system that could create cinematic magic while simultaneously breaking the spirit of its most brilliant talents. Even the king of comedy, Charlie Chaplin, couldn't escape the dark side of fame. While the world laughed at his unscromantics as the little tramp, his private life was falling under intense scrutiny. His relationships and personal choices became tabloid fodder, especially during a high-profile paternity suit that painted a messy and complicated picture. At the same time, the FBI was watching him closely, compiling a massive file on his political leanings and personal conduct. The pressure mounted until, while traveling abroad, he was barred from re-entering the United States. The man who had helped build Hollywood from the ground up was suddenly cast out, an exile from the industry he defined. Then there was Rita Hayworth, the fiery star of Gilda. Her on-screen charm was effortless, but her real life was a story of forced Born Margarita Cancino, she was pushed into performing by a demanding father. When Hollywood discovered her, they transformed her entirely. They changed her name, her hairline, her heritage, molding her into the perfect Latin bombshell. Audiences fell in love with the glamorous persona, but Rita felt profoundly disconnected from the image she was forced to portray. Her famous quote says it all: "Men go to bed with Gilda, but wake up with me." It was the heartbreaking admission of a woman who felt forever overshadowed by her own celluloid image, living a life where the fantasy consumed the person. And who could forget the swashbuckling adventurer, Errol Flynn? He was the epitome of charisma, but his real-life adventures often led him into controversy. In 1942, he faced serious allegations that led to a sensational trial. The press went into a frenzy, and although he was ultimately acquitted, the scandal left a permanent mark on his reputation. His name became synonymous with a life lived on the edge, captured in the phrase, "Inlick Flynn." But behind the charm, he battled his own demons, struggling with his health and the immense weight of his own public persona. The dashing hero on screen was masking a much more troubled man. Perhaps one of the most shocking events of the era involved Lana Turner. Her stormy relationship with mobster Johnny Stompanato was a source of constant fear for her and her family. In 1958, that fear exploded into tragedy. During a violent argument at their home, Turner's teenage daughter, Cheryl Crane, tried to protect her mother, and Stompanato was killed. The incident sent shockwaves through Hollywood. The official ruling was justifiable homicide, but the emotional trauma of that night haunted the family forever. It was a terrifying reminder that for these stars, the drama off-screen could be far more devastating than anything written in a script. Even a star as universally adored as Ingrid Bergman wasn't safe. After captivating audiences in Casablanca, her career seemed untouchable. But when she fell in love with director Roberto Rossellini while still married, the public's adoration turned to outrage. The backlash was swift and brutal. She was denounced on the floor of the U.S. Senate and effectively exiled from Hollywood. She spent years working in Europe, a pariah in the town that once worshipped her. Her story showed just how quickly the industry and the public could turn on a star who dared to step outside the strict moral codes of the time. Overseeing much of this world was the brilliant and eccentric Howard Hughes. As a producer and aviator, he was a force of nature, but his relationships with actresses were often marked by obsessive control. He was known to monitor their careers, their social lives, and even their private conversations using private investigators. As the years went on, his own anxieties and phobias spiraled, leading him into a life of extreme isolation. His story is a chilling look at the fusion of genius and instability, and the power that men like him wielded over the lives of others. At the heart of all these stories was the studio system itself. Giants like MGM, Paramount, and Warner Bros. Didn't just employ actors, they owned them. They controlled what they ate, who they dated, and how they looked. If a star got into trouble, the studio fixers would swoop in to clean up the mess, paying off the press, arranging a quiet settlement, or even fabricating a new story entirely. The studios sold the world a perfect fantasy, and they would do anything to protect it, no matter the human cost. Stars were assets to be managed, polished, and, if necessary, discarded. So, as we look back on the Golden Age, it's important to remember both the light and the shadow. Yes, it was an era of incredible artistry and timeless films, but it was also an era of immense pressure and profound pain. Behind the shimmering images of perfection were real people who hoped, hurt, and struggled to survive under the weight of impossible expectations. The glamour was real, but so was the heartbreak. Have you ever wondered when taking a picture stopped being about capturing a memory and started being about hunting a person? From the middle of the 20th century, photography transformed. It went from a quiet act of observation to an aggressive form of pursuit. The camera became a weapon, a device that could shatter a reputation, invade privacy, and follow someone like a shadow they could never shake. The rise of the paparazzi wasn't a sudden explosion. It was a slow burn, fed by a world obsessed with fame, fueled by magazines, hungry for scandal, and made inevitable by our own human desire to peek into the lives of others. As we look back, we see how a profession built on capturing light slowly became a machine that thrived on capturing vulnerability. The story of modern paparazzi culture begins in Rome. Back in the 1950s, the legendary Cinecittà Studios had turned the city into a global hotspot, filled with glamorous stars and wild nights along the Via Vena. It was this world that director Federico Fellini captured in his film La Dolce Vita. One of the film's most memorable characters was a photographer named Pap, who was actually based on a real person, Tassio Secchiroli and his crew of young, fearless photographers were a new breed. They pursued actors and actresses from restaurants to nightclubs, from private villas to chaotic film sets. Flashbulbs would explode without warning, like tiny bursts of lightning, freezing moments in time. Sophia Loren, Anita Ekberg, Ava Gardner. They all found themselves stalked by these relentless Then, one evening in 1957, in a crowded Roman restaurant, a single photograph changed everything. It's one of the most iconic paparazzi images in history. Actress Jane Mansfield, wearing a dramatically low-cut dress, leaned forward. Sitting right beside her was Sophia Loren, who cast a sharp sideways glance, her expression a perfect mix of disbelief and amusement. That image went viral, 1950s style, circling the entire globe. And with that one photo, the paparazzi learned a powerful lesson. Scandal could be created out of thin air, with nothing more than perfect timing and a single, captured expression. No one understood the true cost of this new, invasive attention more than Jacqueline Kennedy. After the assassination of her husband, President John F. Kennedy, Jackie became a global symbol of grace and resilience. But this unwanted fame also turned her into the most hunted woman in the world. When she later married the Greek shipping magnate Aristotle Onassis, the obsession only intensified. Paparazzi were everywhere. They hid in bushes, they rode bikes behind her, they camped outside her home, and they trailed her across private beaches. The most infamous of them all was Ron Gal. His focus on Jackie bordered on obsession. He followed her 4 miles through the streets of New York. He snapped photos of her children, and he even waited outside their schools. Eventually, Jackie had enough. She took him to court, which resulted in a historic restraining order forcing Galella to stay at least 50 feet away from her. It was a landmark moment, the first time a celebrity had successfully used the law to push back against paparazzi aggression. The invisible war between fame and intrusion was finally out in the open. At the same time, another couple was turning the paparazzi into an international spectacle. Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton. Their explosive romance began on the set of the movie Cleopatra. The problem, they were both married to other people. Their affair created such an uproar that even the Vatican publicly condemned them, and the paparazzi couldn't get enough. They swarmed the couple everywhere they went, on yachts, in hotels, during screaming maches, and even during their tearful reconciliations. Their love story, filled with volcanic passion, jealousy, and constant drama, filled newspaper columns for over a decade. Every breakup, every drunken argument, Every massive diamond Burton bought for Taylor became front-page news. Their relationship was the first truly global paparazzi obsession, a drama followed by the entire world. As the decades moved on, another famous woman found herself drowning under the weight of constant surveillance: Princess Diana. From the moment her relationship with Prince Charles was announced, Diana was surrounded by a level of media scrutiny that no one had ever experienced before. Paparazzi would shout her name outside her apartment. They would sprint behind her car. They waited for her outside gyms, restaurants, parks, and her children's schools. After she married into the royal family, the obsession only grew more intense. Every expression Diana made, her shy, downward glances, her brilliant smiles, her moments of visible exhaustion became currency for magazines and tabloids. A simple gesture could be twisted into evidence of heartbreak, defiance, or rebellion. And while Diana learned to navigate the cameras with incredible grace, the relentless pursuit took a massive emotional toll. It all escalated until that tragic night in Paris. The car carrying her and Dodi Fade through a tunnel was being chased by photographers on motorcycles. The crash that followed ended her life and forever changed the public's relationship with the paparazzi. For the first time, the world saw the real, deadly consequences of an industry built on intrusion. But long before that tragedy, a different kind of violence had been simmering between stars and their pursuers. During his chaotic marriage to Madonna, Sean Penn became a legend in paparazzi lore. Penn was known for his short temper, and the paparazzi were masters at provoking him. They camped outside the couple's home, they followed them on vacation, and they would shout insults just to get a reaction. And Penn often fought back. He broke cameras, he got into physical fights with photographers, and was even arrested. But paradoxically, his resistance only made him a bigger target. Some tabloids even offered bonuses to any photographer who could get a rise out of him. Scandal had become a game, and human pain had become a product. The women of Hollywood often bore the heaviest burden. Brigitte Bardot, one of the most photographed women on the planet, experienced harassment so severe that she fled to the countryside, desperate to escape. But the paparazzi followed her there, too. They climbed trees to take pictures through her windows. They hid in bushes, they tracked her to remote beaches and waited for hours. Bardot later said that the constant pressure drove her to despair. Fame had brought her adoration, but the paparazzi had stolen her peace. Even decades earlier, physical intimidation was part of the game. In 1973, Marlon Brando famously punched a photographer, breaking his jaw. Alec Baldwin had numerous clashes with paparazzi throughout the 90s. From Greta Garbo to Greta, countless celebrities learned a hard lesson. The more you plead for privacy, the more the pursuit intensifies. The unspoken rule was simple: the more a celebrity resisted, the more valuable the photograph became. As the 20th century wore on, paparazzi culture became more organized and far more ruthless. In Los Angeles, groups of photographers started working in teams, using radios to track celebrities across the city. They staked out doctors' offices, airport gates, hotel lobbies, and popular restaurants. Many stars described it as a magazine mafia, a network of informants, high-speed car chases, and secret deals. A single photos of a celebrity in a moment of crisis could sell for tens of thousands of dollars. Some images even sold for six figures. To get that shot, paparazzi would scramble, shove, sprint, climb fences, and trespass on private property. The more dangerous the situation, the bigger the payout. By the 1980s and 90s, the tabloid industry was at its absolute peak. Magazines like People, The National Enquirer, and OK Magazine turned paparazzi photos into their lifeblood. A celebrity walking to their car, holding hands with a new partner, crying in public, entering a rehab facility, or even just picking up groceries every mundane moment could be spun into a headline. Accuracy didn't matter. Interpretation was everything, and once a narrative was created, it was almost impossible for the celebrity to escape it. We all remember the images. Jack Nicholson smashing a paparazzo's windshield with a golf club. Britney Spears shaving her head, surrounded by a swarm of cameras. These moments weren't just documented. They were consumed like entertainment, with little thought given to how invasive the act of capturing them really was. By the end of the century, The paparazzi were no longer just observers. They had become creators of chaos. As we look back, picture those late-century city streets. Imagine the flashbulbs bursting in the dark, the sound of engines revving during a chase, a celebrity shielding their face as they run to a car. See Jackie's silhouette walking through Manhattan, with Ron Galella trailing her like a ghost, and see Diana's final journey through that Paris tunnel, a heartbreaking image frozen in time. And through it all, you can hear a sound, a constant clicking of a camera shutter. On and on and on. It's a relentless, hungry sound, echoing through the decades, reminding us that the rise of the paparazzi was never just about taking pictures. It was about taking pieces of people's lives. From the 1950s to the late 1970s, the world plunged into one of the loudest, wildest, and most chaotic eras in cultural history. Rock music wasn't just a genre. It was a rebellion, and the people who carried that rebellion, the rock stars, became symbols not just of freedom, but of self-destruction, euphoria, hunger, intensity, desire, addiction, and tragedy. The spotlight that lit up their faces on stage also revealed the shadows in their private lives. Fame, for them, wasn't a celebration, it was a storm. And as we drift slowly through their stories, the scandals and chaos of the rock age unfold like a long, restless dream. The era began with one monumental figure, Elvis Presley. His voice shook the world, but it was his body that terrified the gatekeepers of morality. When Elvis first appeared on television, moving his hips with a sensuality never before broadcast to American families, entire committees demanded he be filmed only from the waist up. His concerts sparked mass hysteria. Girls fainted, screamed, tore at their clothes, and chased his car. Yet behind all that frenzy, Elvis was drifting deeper and deeper into loneliness. The pressures of fame, the relentless touring, the insomnia, the anxiety, he coped with it all through a growing dependence on prescription pills. Long before his tragic end in 1977, Elvis had already become the first great cautionary tale of rock. A man who gave the world everything and was slowly consumed by the weight of that gift. Then came the Beatles, and the hysteria exploded into something global, something almost mythic. Beatlemania wasn't just excitement, it was a collective delirium. John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr found themselves unable to leave hotels without police escorts. Fans climbed walls, broke windows, stole their clothing, cut pieces of carpet, and flooded their dressing rooms. During concerts, the screaming was so deafening that the band couldn't even hear their own instruments. The world adored them, but the intensity was suffocating. When Lennon casually remarked, "We're more popular than Jesus now," the scandal erupted across America. Records were burned in public bonfires. Radio stations banned their music. Churches denounced them. Yet all of this only confirmed their cultural power. The Beatles weren't just musicians, they were a phenomenon. And phenomena always come with shadows. But if the Beatles represented light, the Rolling Stones represented darkness. Mick Jagger and Keith Richards embodied danger, sexuality, arrogance, and chaos. Their concerts were unpredictable. Their hotel stays regularly ended in total destruction. The Stones lived the kind of life that newspapers couldn't even exaggerate, because the truth was already outrageous. By 1977, when Richards was arrested in Toronto for heroin possession, the world saw him as the ultimate symbol of rock decadence. Yet that same decadence fed their legend, and then came the trio whose lives would define not only rock, but tragedy itself: Jim Morrison, Janis Joplin, and Jimi Hendrix. All three died at the age of 27, creating the eerie mythology of the 27 Club. Jim Morrison of The Doors moved through the world like a wandering spirit, mysterious, poetic, and completely unrestrained. On stage, he was hypnotic, wild, sensual. In 1969, during a concert in Miami, he was accused of indecent exposure. Whether he actually did it or not hardly mattered. The scandal was enough. He was arrested, tried, and condemned by conservative America. Offstage, Morrison spiraled into alcohol, drugs, and depression. When he died in a Paris bathtub in 1971, no autopsy was performed. Rumors spread like wildfire. overdose, heart failure, foul play. The truth remains uncertain, forever shadowed by the chaos of his life. Janis Joplin burned like a fire. Her voice was raw and volcanic, filled with an emotion that seemed almost painful. But behind that power was a profound loneliness. She battled alcohol addiction, heroin use, heartbreak, and a lifelong struggle with self-worth. On stage, she was invincible. Off stage, she was fragile. Just weeks before her death, she told friends she felt more hopeful than ever, ready to restart her life. But hope wasn't enough. She died in 1970. Another brilliant flame extinguished far too soon. Jimi Hendrix was something else entirely, a musician who made the guitar speak, cry, and scream. His performance at Woodstock remains one of the most unforgettable moments in music history. But Hendrix, too, was fighting demons. Drugs, exhaustion, toxic relationships, and the pressures of fame slowly eroded him. He died in London in 1970, choking in his sleep after taking sleeping pills. Like Morrison and Joplin, his death was wrapped in confusion, contradictions, and endless questions. While these legends were fading, another rock titan was rising. Led Zeppelin, their music was thunderous, but their offstage behavior was even louder. Hotel rooms were destroyed, motorcycles were ridden through hallways, television sets were thrown from windows, and their lives were consumed by alcohol-drenched nights and cocaine-fueled days. Groupie culture became a dark, distorted part of rock mythology, with stories both exaggerated and real swirling around the band. One of the most infamous legends, the Fish incident in Seattle, blurred the line between outrageous rumor and unsettling truth. Led Zeppelin wasn't just a band, they were a traveling hurricane. Fan hysteria reached new heights during this era. Concerts often became battlegrounds with screaming, pushing, and collapsing crowds. The 1969 Altamont Free concert, which was supposed to be the West Coast's answer to Woodstock, devolved into a complete disaster. The Rolling Stones hired the Hells Angels motorcycle gang as security, and violence erupted. A concert-goer named Meredith Hunter was killed near the stage while the band played on. That tragedy marked the death of the 1960s idealism and exposed the dangerous undercurrent that ran deep within rock culture. Meanwhile, countless other stars unraveled in their own ways. Keith Moon of The Who shattered hotel rooms, crashed cars into pools, and overdosed. Sid Vicious of the Sex Pistols became the face of punk nihilism and died of a heroin overdose shortly after being charged with the murder of his girlfriend, Nancy. Even seemingly gentler figures struggled. Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys sank into mental illness, paranoia, and drug addiction. Rock fame was a gift that came wrapped in poison, and through it all, the media circled like vultures. Reporters waited outside concerts, hotel rooms, and airport terminals. Paparazzi stalked musicians on tour, hoping to capture the next collapse, the next arrest, the next scandal. Fans devoured the chaos, turning broken lives into entertainment. Rock stars often tried to escape the pressure by retreating into drugs, alcohol, or isolation, but fame followed them everywhere. The era from 1950 to 1980 created a new archetype, the rock god, a figure larger than life, adored and feared, worshipped and destroyed. These musicians were lightning rods for rebellion, but they were also fragile humans caught in storms of expectation, addiction, and scrutiny. As we drift to the end of this long, turbulent era, imagine the dim backstage rooms, the echoing stadiums, the empty bottles on dressing room floors, the lingering smoke, the forgotten hotel keys, the quiet after the roar. Elvis alone in Graceland. Lennon staring out a hotel window. Richard stumbling through an airport. Morrison wandering the Paris streets. Joplin clutching a bottle backstage. Hendrix tuning a guitar he wouldn't play again. You see the runways glowing under blinding white lights, the models gliding like celestial figures, the designers celebrated as visionaries, and couture dresses shimmering like priceless works of art. But beneath all that, glitter lies a history woven with scandal, heartbreak, obsession, cruelty, and secrets whispered behind closed atelier doors. Fashion is a world that worships beauty, yet it demands sacrifices that few outside its inner circle ever truly see. As we drift through these stories, a calm rhythm reveals the truth behind the glamour. The scandals that shaped a global industry built on both dreams and damage. In the 1990s, the era of the supermodel transformed the fashion world into a cultural empire. Cindy Crawford, Naomi Campbell, Linda Evangelista, Claudia Schiffer, and Christy Turlington became more than models. They were icons who controlled covers, campaigns, and yet, being a supermodel did not shield them from scandal. Naomi Campbell, one of the most electrifying figures in fashion history, became infamous for her temper. Her beauty was undeniable, her presence magnetic, but her anger became part of her mythology. Reports circulated of Naomi throwing a phone at an assistant, striking housekeepers, insulting staff, and storming out of rooms in a fury. Several of these incidents landed her in court. Judges ordered community service, anger management classes, and official apologies. In a move that only Naomi could pull off, she once arrived at her community service wearing a couture gown, turning her punishment into a spectacle. Her life became a reminder that the fashion world loved divas, but it also loved to punish them. Kate Moss, another defining figure of the 90s, became the center of one of the biggest scandals in fashion history. In 2005, the Daily Mirror published secretly taken photos of Moss, allegedly using cocaine. The images spread instantly and created a global media storm. Major brands like Chanel, Burberry, and H&M quickly cut ties with her. Rumors circulated that this was the end of her career. But fashion, with its constant cycle of destruction and reinvention, loves a comeback even more than a scandal. Moss re-emerged just months later, signing even bigger contracts than before. Her return exposed the hypocrisy of an industry that condemned her publicly while privately benefiting from her controversial stardom. Kate Moss became a symbol of the fashion world's selective morality. Punies, loudly, forgive quietly, and profit silently. While models dominated magazine covers, it was the designers who shaped the industry as Soland. Many of them became figures of scandal in their own right. John Galliano, one of the most gifted designers of his generation, turned Dior into a theatrical spectacle of fantasy and emotion. His shows felt like dreams stitched into fabric. But in 2011, the world witnessed the devastating collapse of his career. Drunk in a Paris bar, Galliano made racist and anti-Semitic remarks that were secretly filmed. The video went viral. Within days, Dior fired him. The fashion industry, once captivated by his genius, recoiled in shock. Galliano entered rehabilitation, later attempting a return through Maison Margiela, but his fall marked one of the first major public cancellations of a designer in the digital age. His scandal revealed just how quickly admiration could transform into condemnation. Another brilliant mind, Alexander McQueen, lived a life where raw creativity clashed with emotional darkness. His runway shows were unforgettable, haunting, theatrical, shocking, and beautiful. But McQueen was tormented by depression, addiction, grief, and immense pressure. He worked relentlessly, often sacrificing sleep and his own health. When his mother died in 2010, the loss shattered him. Days later, he took his own life. The fashion world mourned him deeply, realizing too late how much pain had existed behind his genius. His death exposed the emotional brutality of an industry that demands endless innovation, endless transformation, and endless perfection. If you or someone you know is struggling, please know that help is available. There are resources and people who want to support you. Gianni Versace's story is one of brilliance and tragedy. Versace was a king of color, glamour, and unapologetic sensuality. His designs radiated confidence, and his home in Miami became a symbol of pure luxury. But in 1997, he was shot and killed on the steps of his mansion by serial killer Andrew Cunanan. The murder stunned the world. Reporters camped outside his home for weeks. Rumors spread about the motive, hidden relationships, and FBI investigations. The fashion world lost one of its brightest creators, and the tragedy highlighted just how vulnerable public figures can be, even those who seem to live in fortresses of beauty and wealth. Yves Saint Laurent, one of the most influential designers ever, created magic on the runways. He blended masculinity and femininity, broke rules, and reshaped modern style. Yet, behind his brilliance lay a life filled with emotional turmoil. Saint Laurent struggled with addiction, depression, anxiety, and explosive arguments with his business partner. Pierre Berge's nightly partying and reliance on alcohol and drugs became part of his legend. Sometimes he would arrive at fittings shaking, unable to speak. The same sensitivity that fueled his artistry also fueled his suffering. Saint Laurent lived like a tragic poet of fashion, beloved, admired, yet constantly battling himself. Karl Lagerfeld, who revived Chanel and became one of the most recognizable figures in fashion, carried his own set of controversies. Brilliant, witty, and sharp-ended, Lagerfeld often made remarks that sparked outrage. He criticized women's bodies, dismissed social movements, and insulted public figures. His comments about overweight women, sexual assault victims, and actresses he disliked stirred continuous backlash. Yet, his authority remained intact. Lagerfeld embodied both the genius and the arrogance of high fashion, a man revered for his creativity and criticized for his insensitivity. The darker side of fashion extended beyond the personalities of its stars. It lived within the industry's very demands. For decades, models faced extreme pressure to maintain dangerously low weights. Eating disorders became widespread. Backstage at fashion weeks, some models would faint from hunger. The death of 22-year-old Uruguayan model Lucille Ramos, who collapsed from starvation after eating almost nothing for days, forced the world to confront the price of thinness. Spain, Italy, and later other countries introduced BMI minimums for models. It was one of the few times the fashion world was forced to acknowledge its deadly standards. Runway scandals were also common. Models tripped on dangerously designed heels. Catwalk structures collapsed. Designers presented collections filled with controversial imagery. Nazi symbolism, too, extreme nudity and cultural appropriation, sparking debates that hovered between artistic expression and offensive exploitation. Fashion often insisted it was pushing boundaries, but critics argued it was crossing them. Behind the glossy editorials, magazine power dynamics shaped careers and destroyed them. Anna Wintour, the influential editor-in-chief of Vogue, was both admired and feared. Her approval could turn a designer into a star. Her disapproval could end a career. Her icy demeanor, strict standards, and ruthless decisions made her a legendary and intimidating. The Devil Wears Prada, though fictionalized, mirrored many of the realities of her leadership. Wintour, always poised, denied the connection. But the world didn't quite believe her. Her reputation became part of fashion's mythology. By the 2000s, Victoria's Secret ruled the modeling world, but the brand carried its own scandals. The angels were celebrated as symbols of beauty, yet behind closed doors were extreme diets, body shaming, sexist comments, and allegations of harassment involving the brand portrayed a fantasy, but its backstage reality was built on pressure, surveillance, and control. Eventually, the company's scandals contributed to its dramatic collapse. As we move through these stories, the shadows of the fashion world feel like a second fabric stitched, not from silk or tulle, but from secrets, expectations, and emotional wounds. Beneath every glittering runway, there are long nights, trembling hands, whispered arguments, broken friendships, bruised egos, and ambitious dreams. Fashion is a world that dazzles from afar and wounds up close. And as the lights of the runway dim in our imagination, picture Kate Moss sitting silently after another headline breaks, Naomi Campbell wiping tears after a courtroom appearance, McQueen alone in his studio late at night, Saint Laurent struggling to find calm, Versace stepping outside his home moments before tragedy, and models backstage breathing shallowly before walking out onto a stage that demands perfection. Fashion, for all its beauty, carries the weight of countless lives shaped, lifted, broken, and remembered. We see gleaming palaces, perfectly choreographed ceremonies, and portraits with carefully arranged smiles. But behind this majestic facade lies centuries of turmoil. We're talking love affairs, political upheavals, hidden children, forbidden romances, and devastating tragedies. Monarchs may wear crowns, but they are still human, vulnerable, insecure, jealous, and flawed. As we step into this world, the scandals of modern royalty unfold like long shadows stretching across marble floors. No scandal ever shook the modern monarchy quite like the triangle between Princess Diana, Prince Charles, and Camilla Parker Bowles. When Diana Spencer married Charles in 1981, the world fell in love with her. She was young, graceful, and seemingly destined for a fairy tale life. But behind the palace walls, Diana discovered that Charles's heart had never truly been hers. His relationship with Camilla had never really ended. Diana noticed subtle signs early on: bracelets engraved with secret initials, whispered phone calls, private meetings arranged under the guise of friendship. She walked into the marriage hopeful, but soon realized she shared her new life with a ghost who never left the room. As her marriage deteriorated, the press devoured her vulnerability. Diana suffered from bulimia, isolation, and the crushing loneliness of palace life. Charles, meanwhile, struggled to reconcile his duty with his desire. When the infamous Camilla phone recordings leaked intimate late-night conversations between Charles and Camilla, it became one of the biggest scandals of the century. Diana's public charm contrasted sharply with her private agony, deepening the world's fascination with her. The more broken she appeared, the more beloved she became. Paparazzi chased her everywhere. They surrounded her car, shouted questions, and flashed cameras inches from her face. Diana once said she felt like an animal being hunted. And that hunt became tragically literal on August 31st, 1997. Her car, fleeing photographers on motorcycles, crashed in a Paris tunnel. Her death wasn't just the death of a princess, it was the death of an era. Crowds flooded Buckingham Palace with flowers. Television anchors trembled as they spoke. The Queen's initial silence drew public anger until she finally addressed the nation. The world realized how deeply it had participated in creating Diana's misery. Her life and death became one of history's most painful royal scandals, shaped below betrayal, media brutality, and a loss too profound to measure. Diana's sons, Princes William and Harry, grew up under this shadow. William retreated into a life of discipline and restraint. Harry, on the other hand, struggled openly. Tabloids documented his every misstep: underage drinking, public brawls, that infamous Nazi costume at a party, and leaked photos from a Las Vegas hotel room. The press painted him as reckless and wild. But beneath the headlines was a boy who had lost his mother in the most public and traumatic way imaginable. When Harry met Meghan Markle, a new chapter of royal scandal began. Meghan's race, background, and independence clashed violently with the British tabloids. Rumors swirled of tension with the royal family, especially between Meghan and Kate Middleton. After Meghan and Harry stepped away from royal duties in 2020, the monarchy faced its greatest crisis since Diana's death. Their bombshell interview with Oprah Winfrey revealed allegations of racism within the institution and deep emotional suffering. The comment about concerns over their baby's skin color triggered global outrage. The monarchy, famous for its silence, had never looked so vulnerable. But modern scandals weren't confined to the younger generation. Prince Andrew became the center of one of the darkest episodes in royal history due to his association with Jeffrey Epstein. When Virginia Giuffre accused Andrew of sexual misconduct, the palace scrambled to control the damage. His infamous BBC interview, where he claimed he could not sweat and insisted he was eating pizza with his daughter on the night of the alleged incident, became a disaster. Public reaction was swift and brutal. Andrew was stripped of his titles and public duties. It was a fall unlike anything the monarchy had ever seen, exposing the institution's inability to shield itself from modern accountability. Royal scandals, however, stretch far beyond Britain. In 1936, the United Kingdom faced the abdication crisis. King Edward VIII abandoned the throne to marry American divorcee Wallis Simpson. The idea that a king would give up the crown for love scandalized the public. Wallis was treated like a villain accused of manipulation, and even Edward's decision reshaped the monarchy, thrusting his brother George VI into power and eventually paving the way for the reign of Queen Elizabeth II. This single scandal changed the course of British history. Elsewhere in Europe, royal families faced their own turmoil. Princess Grace of Monaco, formerly the Hollywood actress Grace Kelly, tried to adapt to royal life, but rumors of unhappiness and marital strain followed her for years. When she died in a mysterious car crash in 1982, the tragedy only deepened speculation. Did she lose consciousness? Was it simply an accident? The truth remains clouded in uncertainty. In Spain, King Juan Carlos once enjoyed immense popularity for helping guide the country back to democracy, but scandals involving secret hunting trips to Africa, alleged affairs, and corruption accusations led to his abdication in 2014. A photograph of him standing proudly over a dead elephant during a financial crisis destroyed his reputation overnight. Belgium faced its own scandal when King Albert II was forced to acknowledge a daughter born from an extramarital affair, something he had denied for decades until DNA tests confirmed the truth. In the Netherlands, Denmark, and Sweden, royal families faced their own scandals too. Forbidden romances, controversial marriages, and secret children, each revealing the complex humanity behind their polished appearances. But nothing captures the fragility of monarchy like our global obsession with it. The public expects royals to be perfect symbols of stability and morality. So when they falter, their mistakes explode across the world. Every whisper becomes a headline, every tear a scandal. Royal families cannot escape their roles. They are born into stories already written, destined to be watched and judged. As we end our story, imagine the quiet corridors of palaces at night. Imagine Diana walking alone through Kensington Palace after another argument. Imagine Harry as a child, staring out a window at Balmoral, waiting for a mother who will never return. Imagine Meghan sitting in a cottage in Windsor, overwhelmed by headlines she can't control. Imagine Andrew reading the news, realizing his status has vanished. Imagine Edward VIII on a balcony in exile, listening to the ocean instead of the cheers of an empire. And imagine Grace Kelly gripping the steering wheel on a winding road, her life shifting toward tragedy. Royal scandals endure not because they are shocking, but because they remind us that behind every crown is a human being, fragile, flawed, longing for love, haunted by duty, and forever caught between their personal truth and public expectation. But it wasn't just talking. It was confessing, shouting, and exposing secrets on a global scale. It became the world's confessional booth, a stage for chaos, a public arena where our most private dramas played out under bright studio lights. What newspapers once whispered, TV shouted from the rooftops. What gossip magazines embellished, TV showed you in raw, unfiltered detail. This was the birth of a new kind of spectacle, dramatic, addictive, and it forever changed how scandals spread across the world. No one embodies this era of television scandal more than Jerry Springer. His show started off pretty tame, just another talk program, but it morphed into the most chaotic circus ever broadcast. Guests didn't just talk. They hurled chairs, screamed insults, and confessed to cheating. They revealed secret children, confronted their rivals, and got into full-blown brawls right on stage while security guards scrambled to pull them apart. Years later, former guests told the real story. Producers actively encouraged the conflict, whispering provocations, exaggerating rivalries, and dropping last-minute surprises designed to trigger a meltdown. And through it all, there was Springer, standing in the middle of the madness, delivering a philosophical monologue at the end, as if it were all just some grand sociological experiment. For millions, the Springer Show was scandal, gift-wrapped, and delivered daily. Then there was Geraldo Rivera, who brought a different kind of chaos. His show often pitted extremist groups against each other. In one infamous episode, a brawl erupted between white supremacists and black activists. A chair went flying, and Geraldo was hit square in the face. His nose broke. Live on television, that footage played on a loop on news programs everywhere. It became one of the most unforgettable moments of shock TV. A brutal reminder of how easily violence could be packaged as entertainment. Ricki Lake captured a younger audience with her vibrant energy. She invited teenagers, young couples, and estranged families to hash out their problems in front of America. Her show was a magnet for drama. Paternity test showdowns, emotional coming-out stories, love triangles unraveling in real time, and runaway teens confronting their parents. Producers were known to orchestrate some of these confrontations, blurring the line between what was real and what was just good television. Even the Queen of Talk, Oprah Winfrey couldn't escape criticism. While her show was far more polished and tackled serious issues like addiction, trauma, and mental health, some accused her of exploiting people's pain for ratings. Her most emotional episodes are survivors reuniting with family, children confronting their abusers, families revealing dark secrets were iconic television moments, but they also raised ethical questions about just how much vulnerability was too much. Oprah's influence was unparalleled, but that power came with intense scrutiny. By the early 2000s, television scandal entered a new phase: reality TV. The launch of Big Brother was a turning point. For the first time, ordinary people were locked in a house, watched 24 hours a day by cameras. Every argument, every flirtation, every whispered secret, and every emotional breakdown was broadcast to millions. Critics called it live surveillance and the death of privacy. But viewers were absolutely hooked. Big Brother became a cultural phenomenon, revealing just how voyeuristic we had all become. Contestants fought over food, cried over betrayals, formed alliances, and plotted against each other. It was a social experiment wrapped in pure spectacle. Survivor took that formula and threw it into the wilderness. It stranded contestants in remote locations, forcing them to strategize, deceive, and outlast one another. The show quickly became notorious for its manipulative alliances, contestants collapsing from hunger, and explosive tribal councils where torches were snuffed out. Every season created new scandals, cheating allegations, sabotage, and bitter feuds. The drama didn't stop when the cameras did. Contestants often spoke about how their lives were forever changed, and sometimes even destroyed by the show's aftermath. Following them came a tidal wave of scandal-driven reality formats. Temptation Island tested couples' loyalty by surrounding them with temptation. The Bachelor turned romance into a cutthroat competition. Flavor of Love was built on outrageous confrontations and insults. And Jersey Shore created cultural shockwaves with its drunken fights and hookups. These shows thrived on dysfunction, often using alcohol, isolation, and emotional manipulation to engineer explosive scenes. The participants were often young and totally unprepared for the sudden fame and intense public judgment that followed. While we all watched, laughed, and judged from our couches, the people on screen were often left feeling exposed, ridiculed, and emotionally broken. Entertainment news programs poured gasoline on the fire. They followed reality stars and celebrities with relentless intensity. Paparazzi footage became nightly entertainment. We saw Britney Spears shaving her head in a salon, surrounded by cameras. Lindsay Lohan stumbling out of clubs. Paris Hilton yelling at photographers. Celebrity mugshots were displayed like trophies. Scandal wasn't just entertainment anymore, it was a global currency. The hunger for sensationalism grew so strong that producers learned to manipulate every situation. Talk shows revealed affairs live on air. Paternity test results were saved for cliffhangers. Confrontations were engineered. Hurt feelings were monetized, and tears became part of the script. Television even transformed the courtroom into a spectacle. Shows like Judge Judy delivered quick, harsh judgments. Crime reenactments blurred the line between fact and theater. And news coverage of major scandals started to feel more like entertainment, emphasizing emotion over accuracy. But the most unpredictable moments were the live broadcast scandals. Technical glitches, on-air curses, wardrobe malfunctions. Guests storming off set. A moment was replayed endlessly. Networks would apologize, hosts would release statements, but the clips had already gone viral before viral was even a word. The core of this entire culture was simple. Drama equals ratings, and ratings equal money. Producers learned to craft perfect stories. Contestants became characters, and we, the viewers, developed deep connections with these strangers on our screens. In the process, the line between reality and entertainment blurred so completely that it became almost invisible. Imagine the silence on a soundstage after a chaotic taping. Scattered chairs, dimming lights, smudged tissues on the floor. Imagine Jerry Springer backstage, sighing as the noise finally fades. Imagine Geraldo watching a replay of the chair that broke his nose. Imagine Oprah sitting quietly before her audience arrives, preparing for another emotional storm. Imagine a Big Brother contestant whispering in the dark, under the watchful eye of a camera, or a survivor castaway staring into the fire, wondering who will betray them next. And behind it all, a producer smiling in the control room, knowing tomorrow's headlines are already written. In this era, television became the world's newest cathedral of spectacle, a place where privacy was sacrificed, piece by piece, for our collective entertainment. A story would break in the morning paper, or maybe on the evening news. It was slow, almost manageable. But then, the internet arrived, and it changed everything. Scandal didn't just get faster. It became a different beast, entirely sharper, more invasive, and inescapable. It no longer moved at the pace of journalism. It traveled at the speed of a click. A single photo, a leaked video, a hacked password, any tiny digital spark could ignite a global wildfire. And in this new landscape, the paparazzi didn't just adapt, they multiplied. Suddenly, millions of ordinary people, armed with smartphones and the cloak of anonymity, became a new kind of hunter. The internet had built an empire of exposure, and no one was safe. The early 2000s were the dawn of this new digital gossip culture. Forget old-school gossip columns. Blogs and message boards took over. And at the forefront was a name that sent shivers down Hollywood's spine. Perez Hilton, with his neon doodles and vicious captions, he became one of the most feared voices online. He relentlessly mocked celebrities, drawing crude sketches on their faces and amplifying every rumor. His attacks on Britney Spears, in particular, showed just how brutal the early internet could be. As she struggled with her mental health in the public eye, Perez turned her fragility into viral entertainment. The new digital paparazzi didn't need a long lens. They just needed cruelty. And they had an audience of millions. Then, in 2005, a new player emerged and changed the game forever: TMZ. The site blurred the line between reporting and public surveillance. They published celebrity mugshots before the courts even opened, leaked police reports before lawyers had a chance to see them, and shared scandalous videos before families even knew what was happening. When Britney Spears shaved her head during a public breakdown in 2007, the footage was online within minutes. Her raw anguish became a digital spectacle. It was dissected in real time through screenshots, GIFs, and memes. The internet wasn't just reporting on her pain, it was feeding on it. Around that same time, one of the first major digital leaks sent shockwaves across the globe. The Paris Hilton tape, released in 2003, the private video spread across online forums like wildfire. It was a wake-up call. The moment the world realized just how quickly and uncontrollably intimate content could escape into the infinite digital void. For Paris, the leak was devastating, a violation of her most vulnerable moments. Yet, paradoxically, it also catapulted her into a new stratosphere of fame, creating the blueprint for the modern internet celebrity, a person whose fame was both amplified and defined by scandal. But nothing could prepare the world for the storm that hit in 2014. It was dubbed the hackers breached the iCloud accounts of dozens of celebrities, stealing and leaking hundreds of private, intimate photos. Jennifer Lawrence, Kate Upton, Kirsten Dunst, and many others had their privacy shattered in an instant. Their stolen images were plastered across the internet for the world to see. Jennifer Lawrence put it plainly: "It is not a scandal, it is a sex crime." But despite the outrage, despite lawsuits, the photos kept circulating. Screenshots and reposts made them virtually impossible to erase. The digital age had revealed a terrifying truth. Once something is on the internet, it might never truly disappear. With the rise of social media, the dynamic shifted again. Everyone became a potencial paparazzo. A stranger in a restaurant could film a celebrity in distress. A friend could leak private messages. A single hacked DM could detonate a career. Platforms like Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat turned every user into a potential distributor of scandal. One wrong click, one accidental post, or one misunderstood tweet could obliterate a public image that took years to build. Influencer culture poured gasoline on this fire. YouTubers and content creators built their careers on constant visibility. But that same visibility exposed them to unprecedented scrutiny. Think of Logan Paul's infamous Aokigahara forest video. James Charles's Dramageddon, or Shane Dawson's past, offensive content resurfacing. These scandals didn't just happen, they unfolded publicly, fueled by millions of viewers, reaction videos, fan wars, and algorithm-driven amplification. On platforms like Vine and Twitter, scandals ignited in seconds. A comedian's offensive tweet from years ago would resurface, and within hours, outrage would erupt, and endorsements would vanish. The internet's memory proved to be long and unforgiving, and careers collapsed under the weight of a digital past. Hackers became a new, shadowy class of paparazzi. Groups like anonymous targeted corporations, politicians, and celebrities, leaking emails and private conversations that would have once stayed locked away. The digital battlefield had replaced the tabloid newsroom. This era gave rise to cancel culture, which turned scandal into a public ritual. Someone would cause offense, hashtags would trend, online mobs would gather, and petitions would circulate. Public shaming became a form of entertainment. You could watch a career implode in real time, like a TV drama. The accusation, the backlash, the tearful apology video, the memes, and then the inevitable counterback. The cycle repeated, again and again. And it wasn't just celebrities. Ordinary people were now at risk. A woman yelling at a cashier, a man making a bad joke on a plain a viral video or tweet could lead to public condemnation and even job loss before they even knew what was happening. Digital shame was swift and merciless. Meanwhile, traditional gossip sites like TMZ, the Daily Mail, and Page 6 adapted. They merged old-school gossip with digital speed, publishing exclusives just seconds after getting a tip. Cheating, scandals, messy, leaked, texted, all appeared online before some of the people involved even knew their private lives had become public news. But perhaps the most insidious change wasn't the speed of scandal, but its permanence. In the pre-internet age, scandals faded. Newspapers were thrown away, memories softened. But online, everything is archived. Every mistake, every embarrassing photo, every poorly worded tweet is preserved in screenshots, reposts, and threads. A single moment can follow you for a lifetime. Picture it. The haunting glow of millions of screens. Britney Spears, her head freshly shaved, screaming as the camera flashes loop endlessly. Jennifer Lawrence, realizing her private life has been stolen and scattered across the web. Logan Paul, watching the backlash to his video grow from thousands to millions in just a few hours. A teenager, seeing a dumb joke they tweeted years ago resurface and destroy their future. In the digital age, scandal became like light instant, viral, and permanent. The internet transformed into the world's most powerful stage, a vast, unforgiving arena where every mistake and every vulnerability can be captured, multiplied, and immortalized with a single tap. You'd post photos on Instagram, share short videos on TikTok, add stories, use filters, get likes, leave comments. But as these platforms grew, as their algorithms evolved, and as millions of people found themselves living half their lives inside the glow of a screen, social media transformed. It became something far more powerful. It turned into a marketplace for identity, a factory for overnight fame, a battleground for public opinion, and, most dramatically, a never-ending engine of scandal. In this digital world, chaos isn't just an accident, it's an algorithmic byproduct. And the influencers, the creators, the celebrities, and even ordinary people caught inside this whirlwind often find themselves rising way too quickly and falling even faster. Instagram was one of the first platforms to show us the cracks beneath the glossy perfection of online life. Influencers curated these perfect lives for us to see: golden beaches, designer clothes, spotless apartments, luxury hotel rooms, private jets. But it didn't take long for users to start uncovering the illusions behind the images. Some influencers posted photos pretending to be on airplanes, only for it to be revealed that the jet cabin was actually just a studio set built for fun. Others showed off expensive outfits that turned out to be rented, borrowed, or secretly sponsored without any disclosure. Entire accounts popped up, dedicated to exposing doctored photos, identifying the warped backgrounds, and pointing out the impossible body proportions caused by overused editing apps. The facade of Instagram glamour, which was once so enchanting, quickly became a source of suspicion and scrutiny. Financial scandals followed close behind. Influencers were caught accepting money to promote scam products teas with dangerous ingredients, crypto schemes that vanished overnight, fake giveaways that never actually rewarded any winners. Some sold merchandise that never shipped, disappearing once they collected the payments. Others were caught evading taxes, only to have government agencies expose their earnings and charge them with fraud. A few influencers, once adored by millions, found themselves posting tearful apology videos after being caught lying, cheating, or manipulating their own fans. But the real revolution, and the true chaos, came with TikTok. Unlike Instagram, where fame often grew slowly, TikTok created celebrities overnight. A single dance video could get 10 million views. A single trend could make a teenager world famous. Charli D'Amelio, once just a regular girl from Connecticut, gained millions of followers in a matter of months. The world watched as she reached these unimaginable levels of fame, but the pressure was immense. When a video surfaced of Charli seeming ungrateful during a family dinner, her viewers turned on her. A simple comment wishing she had hit 100 million followers before a certain date was enough to ignite a global backlash. She was only 16, yet the internet treated her like a seasoned public figure. The same speed that made her famous was the same speed that pushed her into crisis. Addison Rae became another symbol of both influence and instability. Her friendships, her love life, her move to Hollywood, her brand deals, and her family dynamics were endlessly picked apart. When Addison's father was exposed for exchanging inappropriate messages with much younger TikTok influencers, the scandal exploded. It wasn't just Addison who was dragged into the controversy. Her entire family became tabloid material. Addison cried on live streams, apologized for things she didn't even do, and tried to maintain her rising career while the internet tore her private life to shreds. In social media culture, fame never comes alone. It brings a spotlight that expands to family, friends, partners, pulling everyone into its orbit. TikTok collab houses like Hype House, Sway House, and Team 10 before them became their own reality shows. Dozens of young influencers living together, filming dance videos by day and attending chaotic parties by night, created an atmosphere where scandal felt inevitable. There were fights caught on camera, cheating allegations, drug rumors, police raids, destroyed property, sudden expulsions, and dramatic group breakups announced through cryptic Instagram stories. These houses were marketed as creative spaces, but to the outside world, they looked more like pressure cookers where ego, jealousy, competition, and youth collided in explosive ways. YouTube creators added another layer to this chaotic ecosystem. Logan Paul's infamous video filmed in Japan, Okigahara Forest, became one of the biggest scandals in internet history. The backlash spread globally, causing him to lose brand deals and leading to widespread public condemnation. His brother, Jake Paul, faced his own string of controversies: massive parties during the pandemic, FBI raids, altercations with neighbors, and accusations of financial scams. Influencer scandals no longer looked like the old Hollywood scandals. They were messier, faster, and far more visible. Fans watched every mistake, every apology, every misstep in real time. Instagram scandals evolved too, focusing on direct message leaks. Screenshots of private conversations became powerful weapons. Athletes, actors, influencers, and even politicians had their flirty DMs, angry messages, or secret conversations exposed by accounts hungry for attention. A single screenshot could trend worldwide in minutes. Users played detective, analyzing fonts, timestamps, and backgrounds. Some leaks were real, some were fabricated, but in social media culture, the truth often mattered less than the narrative. Influencers also got tangled up in countless controversies with brands. Some falsely claimed to use products they were paid to advertise. Others promoted skincare they had never applied or fitness plans they didn't follow. There were influencers who pretended to run giveaways, only to discard the entries and keep the prizes. And as fans became more skeptical, the scandals multiplied. Brands cut ties. Followers vanished. Public apologies flooded time. Instagram filters created another unsettling phenomenon. Users became so reliant on perfecting their faces digitally that some forgot what they looked like without them. Some influencers were completely unrecognizable without filters, leading to accusations of deception. Dermatologists and plastic surgeons reported a rise in young people seeking procedures to look more like their filtered selves. This filter addiction became its own kind of scandal, revealing the damaging psychological effects of curated beauty. Cancel culture was the storm that tied all of these things together. One mistake could erase years of work. Old tweets resurfaced and destroyed careers. A poorly worded caption caused waves of outrage. A bad brand partnership sparked boycotts. Influencers posted apology videos with trembling voices and tears, promising to learn and do better. Some returned stronger. Others disappeared forever. The digital crowd, armed with hashtags, became the judge, jury, and executioner. Then OnlyFans added a new dimension to scandal culture. Content leaks, subscription scams, identity theft, tax controversies, and public shaming surrounded the platform. Many influencers faced harassment when their private content was stolen and reposted illegally. Others were exposed by acquaintances or ex-partners. As the platform grew, so did the risks. Twitter fueled scandal through its instant virality. A single post could launch 1,000 arguments. Political influencers battled it out daily. Comedians were canceled for old jokes. Musicians deleted tweets at midnight hoping no one would notice, only to wake up and find screenshots trending. The platform became a digital coliseum, with millions watching every conflict unfold. Even the world of live streaming, especially on Twitch, became soaked in controversy. Streamers were caught using racial slurs, cheating in games, manipulating donations, abusing their moderator powers, harassing other creators, or engaging in messy relationship drama. Some were banned for weeks, others for just a few minutes. Some cried, some lashed out, some left the platforms entirely. The live nature of streaming meant scandals erupted in real time, with viewers clipping everything and spreading it instantly. The pressure to go viral led some creators to manufacture controversy on purpose. Fake breakups, staged fights, tearful confessions, accidental leaks drama became a tool for engagement. In a world where attention determines value, scandal itself became a currency. And yet, for all the chaos, the cycle of social media fame remains mesmerizing. A teenager can become globally famous in 48 hours. A dance can make someone a millionaire. A trend can turn a stranger into a face recognized everywhere. But the same algorithms that lift people up also wait patiently for them to fall. When you think about it, the story of social media is written in these moments of chaos. Charli D'Amelio reading hateful comments on a night she was supposed to be celebrating. Addison Rae's family quietly collapsing behind the scenes. Logan Paul staring at footage he wishes he hadn't filmed. Jake Paul watching police swarm his mansion. A streamer whispering an apology through tears after saying the wrong thing. An influencer turning off a filter and facing themselves honestly for the first time. Private messages spreading across Twitter like wildfire. Hundreds of young creators refreshing their screens, terrified of what the internet might find next. Social media teaches us a simple and sometimes brutal truth. In this world, everyone is only one post away from a scandal. Did you ever wonder why your social media feed is always filled with drama? Why the biggest headlines are always about some shocking controversy? It's not an accident. In our world, scandal isn't just an unfortunate event anymore. It's an industry, a meticulously engineered machine designed to turn your attention into cold, hard cash. Behind every viral outrage, every explosive headline, and every trending topic, there are algorithms, advertisers, media corporations, and digital platforms all working together. They're invisibly transforming human drama into profit. Scandal has become the fuel of the digital economy, and its gears turn whether the people involved like it or not. To understand how this all works, we have to start with one simple truth. Attention is the new currency. The more clicks, the more comments, the more views, the more revenue. Companies don't just report on scandals, they monetize them. Platforms don't just amplify. Dramatha optimize it. Over the last 20 years, the internet has evolved into a system that rewards intense emotional reactions. Algorithms study our behavior with surgical precision, learning exactly what makes us stop scrolling, what videos spark arguments, and what headlines make us angry. These systems don't have a moral compass. They only care about one thing: engagement. And nothing gets more engagement than a good scandal. The early digital news industry figured this out fast. Clickbait became the language of survival. Headlines screamed, "You won't believe this," or "Shocking scandal exposed." Even when the stories were exaggerated or misleading, they brought in clicks. And clicks brought in advertising dollars. Soon, every major outlet was in on the race. Scandal wasn't just a random event. It became a carefully structured business model. TMZ mastered this model. The Daily Mail perfected it. Sites like Page 6 and Radar Online built entire networks of informants-paid insiders, courthouse watchers, and paparazzi, all willing to sell a little piece of information: a celebrity's mistake, a cheating rumor, a leaked audio recording. These weren't just stories. They were profitable assets. Every scandal follows a predictable revenue cycle. First, the leak, then the viral sharing. Next, the media chase. After that, the public reaction, the backlash, the analysis, and finally, the follow-up. Each phase creates new articles, new clicks, and new ad impressions. Television news quickly adopted the same logic. Channels like Fox News, CNN, and MSNBC discovered that viewers weren't tuning in for calm, balanced reporting. They wanted dramatic confrontations. Political scandals, whether real or inflated, became the heartbeat of ratings. Outrage turned into a spectacle. Anchors argued. Panels shouted. The news became theatrical, because theatrics kept people watching through the commercial breaks. But social media platforms learned even faster. YouTube's recommendation engine noticed that we spend way more time watching controversial videos than neutral ones. Twitter's algorithm saw that angry tweets spread faster than positive ones. Instagram realized that drama between influencers got more comments than peaceful content. And TikTok discovered that emotionally charged videos, even if they were misleading, were saved, shared, and rewatched constantly. So, the platforms began to reward scandal. It wasn't intentional at first. It was purely mathematical. Content that provoked outrage got boosted. Content that expressed fear or anger spread like wildfire. Content that caused fights started to dominate our feeds. This wasn't a mistake. It was optimization. Soon, influencers realized they were living inside an economy that paid them for conflict. A feud meant more followers. A public breakup meant more views. A crying apology video meant more subscribers. Some influencers even started manufacturing controversy on purpose. They staged fights, faked cheating scandals, and released accidental leaks. Their agents would advise them to stay in the conversation, even if that conversation was negative. In this economy, negative attention is still attention, and attention pays the bills. But perhaps the most chilling example of this scandal economy came from the world of politics. The Cambridge Analytica scandal revealed how millions of Facebook users' data was harvested to target them with hyper-personalized political ads. These ads weren't designed to inform people. They were designed to provoke them. Why? Because political outrage spreads faster than almost any other type of content. Fake news, conspiracy theories, and emotionally charged misinformation exploded across social networks because the algorithms learned that outrage equals engagement, and engagement equals profit. Social media wasn't broken. It was working exactly as it was designed to. Every major platform has learned to manipulate our emotional triggers: fear, anger, envy, moral shock, and humiliation. These feelings keep us scrolling, arguing, and sharing. And as long as the revenue keeps flowing, the platforms have very little incentive to intervene. Now, even Netflix has joined the scandal economy with a new kind of storytelling. The scandal documentary. Think about it. Fire Festival, The Tinder Swindler, Tiger King, Bad Vegan, Inventing Anna. All of them showcase real-world chaos, deception, and meltdowns. And we watch them obsessively. The documentaries go viral. The memes explode online. Scandal isn't just entertainment anymore, it's bingeable content. It's not just media companies either. Fast fashion brands buy ads to run next to celebrity breakdown stories. Beauty companies partner with influencers who are fresh out of a controversy. The scandal economy doesn't just respond to our interest, it actively shapes it. Behind the scenes, a new profession has emerged: the drama engineer. Some are PR strategists, some are political consultants, some are talent managers. Their job is to strategically leak information, spark small fires online, manipulate the narratives, and create controlled chaos, all to boost their client's public profile. They use the system's weaknesses, especially the algorithm's addiction to negativity, push people into the spotlight. The cycle just keeps feeding itself. Scandal generates engagement. Engagement generates revenue, and that revenue incentivizes the creation of even more scandal. The platforms, the media outlets, the influencers, and the corporations all just ride the wave. Today, a single controversy can crash a company's stock, make a politician trend worldwide, launch or destroy a career, and generate millions in ad revenue. It can inflate a TikTok creator's following overnight and fuel entire conspiracy ecosystems. But what makes the modern scandal economy so uniquely powerful isn't its scale, it's its permanence. Digital scandals never die. Screenshots are forever. Videos reappear years later. Old tweets come back to haunt people like ghosts. A Google search can preserve a controversy long after the world has forgotten the truth. So next time you're scrolling, imagine the hidden gears of the scandal machine turning. Algorithms scanning our behavior with cold precision. Newsrooms racing to craft the most shocking headlines. Influencers staging tears for a thumbnail. Twitter storms erupting at midnight. YouTube recommendations quietly steering you toward more and more outrage. Political consultants releasing leaks like grenades. And Netflix preparing its next big scandal documentary. We tend to think that scandals just happen, but the reality is much darker. In the modern age, scandals are engineered, magnified, and monetized by systems far more powerful than any single person. Influencers represent a new kind of celebrity, not born from Hollywood studios or TV networks, but from phone cameras, algorithmic luck, and the unpredictable currents of online attention. Their rise is swift, their reach is enormous, and their collapse, when it happens, is often far more dramatic than anything we've seen in traditional fame. In TV's world, visibility is everything. Careers are built in seconds, shaken by controversy overnight and undone by a single screenshot. And because influencer culture thrives on constant exposure, every moment, good or bad, becomes part of the performance. The earliest wave of this fame came from Vine, the 6-second video platform that launched a generation of internet Lele Pons, Amanda Cerny, King Batch, Nash Grier. These names shaped early online entertainment. But when Vine abruptly shut down, many of these creators were left adrift. Some successfully made the jump to YouTube and Instagram. Others felt overwhelmed by the pressure to produce endless content. And a few were caught up in controversies, fabricated pranks, exaggerated storylines, and old posts resurfacing to haunt them. Vine's sudden collapse revealed a truth that would repeat for years. Influencer fame can vanish as quickly as it appears. Then came Jake Paul and Logan Paul, two of the most polarizing figures in the digital world. Their rise was meteoric, fueled by daily uploads, stunts, and constant headlines. But their controversies were just as explosive. Jake Paul's Los Angeles home became a chaotic filming hub, leading to noise complaints, property damage, and repeated visits from law enforcement. Neighbors felt overwhelmed. Later, the FBI even searched the house as part of an investigation connected to his business circle. His influencer group, Team DS, started facing claims of emotional pressure and unstable work environments, with younger creators feeling trapped within the brand. Meanwhile, Logan Paul's Aokigahara Forest video became a defining moment in internet history. He filmed and uploaded footage from a deeply sensitive scene that should never have been shared publicly. The world reacted instantly. Brands cut ties. YouTube issued statements and revised its policies. Logan posted apology videos, stepped away from the internet, and eventually returned with a new approach. The scandal became symbolic, a stark warning about the cost of visibility, the risks of shock-driven content, and the delicate boundary between storytelling and causing real harm. The beauty community on YouTube became its own digital arena, full of creativity but also intense conflict. When Tati Westbrook released her by sister video accusing James Charles of manipulation, the internet erupted. Within hours, millions were watching. James lost followers at a historic rate. Jeffree Star added his own comments, intensifying the situation. Messages leaked, apology videos were posted, and hashtags trended worldwide. Then, new information emerged, reversing much of the narrative and reshaping public opinion all over again. Careers rose, collapsed, and reformed in the chaos. It became clear that in the beauty world, personal conflict had become a form of mainstream entertainment. James Charles later faced additional accusations involving inappropriate online communication, leading to investigations and major sponsorship losses. Jeffree Star dealt with resurfaced comments, old rivalries, and questions about his business practices. And Shane Dawson, once seen as a documentary pioneer on YouTube, faced a wave of criticism when his past sketches and insensitive jokes he lost monetization and disappeared from the platform for a long time. David Dobrik, widely loved for his fast-paced vlogs, faced a major turning point when allegations surfaced involving members of his squad. A former participant accused another member of serious misconduct during a filming session, raising concerns about the culture within the group. Sponsors withdrew their support immediately. David released apology videos and stepped back from creating content. The event shifted public perception of squad-based influencer content, revealing how easily fun-focused environments could hide deeper issues. The immense psychological strain of living a life online became especially visible through Gabby Hanna. Mental health challenges played out in real time, rapid-fire posts, emotional videos, and live-stream confrontations. Viewers watched with a mix of worry and confusion. Her public unraveling, captured on camera, became a stark reminder of the pressure faced by influencers who must remain constantly present, constantly performing for an audience. Family vloggers also faced intense scrutiny. Concerns emerged around situations that appeared to place children under stress-scripted emotional moments, frequent pranks, or content that blurred the boundaries between private life and entertainment. Some families were investigated, and some channels were demonetized. These discussions highlighted ongoing ethical questions about childhood, work, and digital exposure. Child influencers, some barely old enough to understand their own audience, became major online earners. With limited regulation, critical questions arose. Who controls the income? Who protects the child's privacy? How does growing up on camera shape a person's future? The cheerful thumbnails often hid a complex reality of pressure and potential exploitation. OnlyFans added another layer to influencer culture. For some, it offered creative and financial independence, but it also created a new set of challenges: leaks, impersonation attempts, privacy breaches, and intense public scrutiny. Some creators discovered their content was being stolen and others faced controversies related to financial transparency or unmet subscriber expectations. As influencers gained more influence, financial scandals grew. Rug pull schemes became notorious. Content creators would endorse a new crypto or NFT project that would soon vanish, taking all the investors' money with Italiano. Some of those influencers disappeared from the internet afterward. Others blamed their managers or claimed they had no idea. A few even faced legal consequences. These scandals revealed just how unregulated and unpredictable the influencer economy could be. Event-based scandals also became infamous. Tanamango's Tanakan, created as an alternative to VidCon, rapidly spiraled into chaos. Thousands of fans waited in the heat for hours, with limited shade, insufficient supplies, and in overcrowded venues. The event was shut down within hours. Videos of confused, distressed fans filled social media. Tana apologized afterward, but Tanakan became a textbook case of what happens when massive reach meets insufficient planning. Sponsorship controversies also multiplied. Influencers promoted supplements with questionable claims, wellness hacks without scientific support, and untested beauty products. Some hid the fact that their posts were sponsored. Others promoted products they had never even used. As transparency eroded, public trust weakened, and through it all, digital footprints fueled so many of these scandals. Old tweets resurfaced, private messages were leaked, and deleted content reappeared. Influencer culture proved something harsh. The internet archives everything. As this story winds down, let's imagine the dim corners of influencer fame. Jake Paul's mansion, illuminated by flashing police lights. Logan Paul staring at a screen, realizing the scale of the backlash. James Charles wiping away tears in an apology video. Tati Westbrook recording a whisper-level accusation that was heard around the world. Jeffree Star surrounded by rumors. Shane Dawson confronting years of his own resurfaced content. David Dobrik stepping away from the camera as investigations began. Gabby Hanna posting through emotional spirals at 3 a.m. Children and family vlogs looking exhausted under bright lights. Investors realizing their savings have vanished in a crypto collapse. Creators trying to reclaim their stolen content, and countless influencers filming apologies in dim rooms, just hoping for another chance. Cultures shift, technology advances, but that magnetic pull of someone else's downfall, it's timeless. It's timeless, from whispers in ancient Roman courts to trending hashtags that explode across the globe. Scandal has always been a powerful, gripping force. Why do we crave these stories of betrayal, forbidden desire, and public humiliation? Why does scandal spread like wildfire, capturing not just our minds, but our emotions and even our sense of self? The answers are buried deep in the oldest parts of our brain. Evolutionary psychology tells us that gossip, which is really just shared social information, was a vital survival tool. In early human tribes, knowing who to trust, who broke the rules, or who betrayed the group was crucial. Information about others was social currency. It helped you pick your allies, avoid threats, and keep the community stable. Scandal, then, is just gossip cranked up to the maximum volume. It's social information, supercharged with emotion, fear, anger, fascination, and judgment. Our ancient wiring responds to scandal the same way it once responded to a predator in the bushes. When someone prominent breaks a rule or falls from grace, our brain's threat detection system lights up. Our cortisol levels spike as we anticipate conflict. But at the exact same time, our brain releases dopamine, the reward chemical. We get a rush of satisfaction from learning something new and juicy. This mix of stress and pleasure, of vigilance and stimulation, makes scandal profoundly addictive. It's the perfect psychological cocktail. There's also the simple, satisfying allure of moral superiority. When we see someone else fall, especially someone powerful, famous, or envied, we get a subtle, almost unconscious feeling of being better. I would never do that, we tell ourselves. This little thought boosts our ego and reassures us that we're on the right track. It helps us feel like there's a moral order to the universe. Someone else messed up, so we must be doing okay. But beneath that comforting feeling, there's a darker mechanism at play. Projection. We all have desires, fears, and thoughts we're ashamed of, and we push them down. Scandal gives us an external target for all those suppressed feelings. When a celebrity cheats or a politician lies, we can project the traits we dislike in ourselves onto them. We judge them harshly, so we don't have to confront our own shadows. On a larger social level, scandal works as a community enforcement tool. It's how a group reminds its members of the shared rules. When a leader is exposed for wrongdoing, society collectively reaffirms what is and isn't acceptable. The scandal becomes a public ritual, a symbolic punishment that restores balance by drawing a clear line around who has stepped outside the boundaries. Then, the modern world came along and poured gasoline on the fire. Digital media didn't just amplify scandal. It made it instant and global. What once took months to spread can now cross continents in seconds. A single tweet can ignite mass outrage. A leaked video can dominate the news cycle for weeks, with millions of people reacting in real time. This creates what psychologists call collective judgment behavior. A group acts as a single moral force, even if the individuals in it feel very little personal responsibility. The digital mob is just the 21st century version of ancient communal punishment. Instead of torches and pitchforks, we use retweets, comments, and stitches. Humiliation has become a shared digital ritual. Another huge reason we're hooked is social comparison. We are constantly measuring ourselves against others. When we see someone who seems more successful, more attractive, or more privileged than us suddenly fail, it can bring a strange sense of relief. Their fall makes us feel more stable. Their chaos makes our lives feel calm. Their mistake becomes our free lesson. In this way, scandal acts like a mirror, reflecting both our deepest insecurities and our hidden desires. And let's not forget, good old-fashioned humans have always been curious about other people's private lives. In the past, people listened at palace doors or traded rumors in the marketplace. Today, that same desire is fed by paparazzi photos, leaked text messages, reality TV shows, and influencer breakdown videos. The line between public and private has all but vanished, and we've all become silent witnesses to intimate collapse. There's also this strange comfort of emotional distance. Watching someone else's drama allows us to feel strong emotions, shock, anger, sadness without any of the real-world consequences. We get the emotional roller coaster ride from a safe distance. In a world that often feels chaotic and overwhelming, scandal offers a controlled, predictable emotional release. But maybe the most powerful element of all is connection. Scandal creates community. We bond over shared outrage, shared curiosity, and shared judgment. Comment sections become digital town squares. Discord servers and group chats light up. YouTube reaction channels thrive. We gather around these digital campfires to dissect the latest fall from grace. Scandal gives us something to talk about, something to agree on, and a puzzle to solve together. It's a strange, modern form of social glue. Of course, the psychological impact isn't just on the spectators. For those who become the target of a scandal, the experience is devastating. Public humiliation is one of the most painful things a person can go through. That feeling of being stripped of your privacy, dignity, and safety can trigger intense trauma, feeling psychologists describe as the pain of being seen as fundamentally flawed. Shame lights up the brain's threat systems, leading to panic, dissociation, depression, and long-term trauma. The digital age makes this trauma infinitely worse. In the past, scandals faded. Newspapers were thrown out, rumors died down, memories softened. But today, scandals are forever. Screenshots circulate endlessly. Videos resurface years later. Algorithms re-recommend old controversies. For the person at the center of the storm, there's no escape. No forgetting, no moving on. The internet never lets go. Meanwhile, the public develops what's known as empathy fatigue. When we're constantly bombarded with drama-crying apology videos, confessions, accusations, our emotional sensitivity starts to wear down. Outrage becomes routine. Sympathy becomes a scarce resource. The line between real human suffering and entertainment blurs until they're almost the same thing. Social media algorithms are designed to pour fuel on this fire. They prioritize content that triggers strong emotional reactions. Anger, disgust, shock. Since scandal delivers those emotions perfectly, it gets pushed to millions. As one scandal fades, the next one is already waiting in the wings. Our brains adapt, craving stronger and stronger emotional hits. What was once shocking becomes normal. Scandal becomes the background noise of modern life. In the end, our obsession with scandal isn't about just one thing. It's a complex web of our deepest psychological drivers. Evolutionary survival instincts, moral self-ego boosts, social bonding, voyeurism, and the simple, timeless fascination with human frailty. When you look at the history of scandal, you can see the entire mosaic of human nature. You see Nixon's resignation speech. You see Monica Lewinsky wiping away tears. You see influencers whispering apologies into their cameras. And you see the silent hum of algorithms pushing the next drama onto our glowing screens. Human nature hasn't really changed. Only the stage has gotten bigger. And as long as people are people, scandal will remain one of our most irresistible and most telling obsessions. It's like a cultural earthquake, a moment when the ground beneath our feet unexpectedly shifts. A scandal doesn't just tarnish a single reputation. It reshapes our norms, adjusts our expectations, and exposes contradictions we didn't even know were there. Think of it like this. Major scandals, whether they're political, personal, financial, or digital, draw a symbolic line in history. Te kriyata, before and an after. And while they reveal the mistakes of individuals, they also shine a bright light on the deeper fears, desires, and values of our entire society. To really get the cultural impact of scandals, we have to see them for what they are, a mirror. A scandal reflects not just the actions at the center of the story, but also the anxieties and curiosities of all of us watching. When a scandal breaks, we're not just passive observers. We're interpreting, projecting, and re-evaluating our own moral boundaries. This is why scandals often trigger cultural shifts far bigger than the people involved. One of the clearest examples is Watergate. This political earthquake completely transformed journalism, government oversight, and public trust. Before Watergate, most people believed that political leaders, despite their flaws, operated within certain ethical lines. But the break-in, the cover-up, and the explosive investigations shattered that belief. The scandal turned investigative journalism into a powerful force, recasting the media as a watchdog, not just a passive reporter. It led to new laws on transparency and campaign finance. But most importantly, it forever changed our relationship with authority. After Watergate, a healthy dose of skepticism became a core part of being an engaged citizen. Now let's jump over to Hollywood. The scandals of the mid-20th century completely reshaped our modern idea of fame. Stories surrounding Marilyn Monroe, Elizabeth Taylor's turbulent relationships, or the infamous Fatty Arbuckle trials slowly chipped away at the myth of the flawless movie star. The public began to see celebrities as complex, emotional, and deeply human. This realization changed celebrity culture itself. Suddenly, fame wasn't just about talent. It was tied to mystery, vulnerability, and our own fascination. Today's influencer scandals, with their leaked DMS tearful apology videos and dramatic live streams, are really just the latest chapter in a story that began long before social media even existed. Scandals involving personal relationships have also been major cultural games. The Clinton-Lewinsky affair dominated headlines for months, but its impact went so much deeper. It forced a global conversation on tough topics like power imbalances, public shaming, and media ethics in the digital age. It sparked discussions about sexism, privacy, and accountability that are still relevant today. Over time, Monica Lewinsky herself transformed from the center of a scandal into a powerful advocate against public humiliation, turning her personal ordeal into a vital critique of our modern media culture. Financial scandals, like the spectacular collapse of Enron, ripped the mask off corporate worlds built on unchecked greed. The fallout was immense, leading to landmark reforms like the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, which brought in much stricter financial oversight. In this case, the scandal acted as a painful but necessary catalyst for institutional change, forcing a powerful push towards accountability that we still benefit from. In our digital era, scandals have accelerated in both scale and speed. Remember the Cambridge Analytica controversy? It revealed how our personal data could be weaponized for political influence. The idea that our online profiles could be analyzed and used to manipulate us shattered the illusion of harmless social media. This one incident triggered global debates about privacy and ethics. It directly led to new laws like the EU's GDPR, fundamentally reshaping how the world thinks about data protection. Scandals also have a unique power to break taboos. Think about the rock musicians of the 1960s. Elvis Presley, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones. Their behavior was constantly criticized, yet their controversies became powerful symbols of youth, rebellion, and individuality. They challenged conservative norms and helped ignite cultural movements that celebrated personal freedom. History shows us that artistic scandals often come right before cultural What seems outrageous in one decade often becomes accepted, or even admired, in the next. And then there's social media, which has amplified the cultural power of scandal to an almost unbelievable degree. In the past, a scandal unfolded slowly, through newspapers and nightly news broadcasts. Today, A few seconds of video on TikTok or a screenshot on X can spark a global conversation in hours. Public reactions are instant. Emotions run high, and interpretations spread at the speed of an algorithm. We now live in a world where scandals are digested in real time. This has also completely transformed our concept of privacy. Things that once stayed behind closed doors, private conversations. Personal disputes can now be blasted to the world with a single click. Younger generations have grown up with a constant awareness of their digital vulnerability. Scandal has blurred the line between public and private life, forcing us all to rethink consent, autonomy, and the permanence of our digital footprints. The legal system is racing to keep up, too. Scandals have led to new laws tackling digital harassment, data protection, and online defamation, pushing governments to close the gaps that new technologies create. It's also fascinating how different generations see scandals through their own unique lenses. Baby boomers might see them as signs of moral decay. Gen X, often more cynical, might look for the hidden agenda or manipulation. Millennials tend to view scandals through the framework of social justice, fairness, and power imbalances. And for Gen Z, scandals are almost a part of digital culture itself, content to be analyzed, remixed, and discussed. These different reactions show how the meaning of scandal evolves right alongside society. Scandals also expose our own contradictions. We condemn invasions of privacy, yet we can't look away from leaked content. We criticize toxic celebrity culture, yet we help make controversial figures famous. We denounce mistakes, but we replay them endlessly on our screens. A scandal isn't just a mirror reflecting society. It's a space where society negotiates its own complicated identity. Over time, these major events, #MeToo, Cambridge Analytica, the big celebrity meltdowns, and influencer takedowns become part of our cultural archive. They define entire eras. They shape how future generations will understand our time and form our collective memory. They are the mile markers of social change. When we look back, we see the images they leave behind. Journalists waiting in the cold, celebrities shielding their faces from camera, flashes public figures reading statements with trembling hands, and that quiet stillness that follows when all the secrets are finally out. Scandals expose, unsettling, and ultimately, they help us rebuild and transform. They aren't just interruptions in our story. They are the threads woven into the fabric of civilization itself.